No.
Shame.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner.
Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is the Horror Miser Maniti.
Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Jen, and Velvet's with me.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trash Picture Show.
Grab some popcorn and take your seat at Trivial Theater.
Remember that horror rules. Ha 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 ha.
Alive.
Woohoo!
Indeed.
Welcome to the Horror Hangout live stream. And we have, as usual, our esteemed panel. We got Jen and Velvet from Jen's Reviews from the Grave.
Happy holidays!
The esteemed panel and Jen.
And Jen, I was thinking it too.
And we got Trivial Theater in the house.
I am not part of the esteemed panel, but I am esteemed adjacent. I also like to be deep fried and battered.
Ooh, kinky!
That's stir fried.
Nothing kicky about that.
Oh, yeah, stir fried is good too.
And of course, we got the great, the legendary, the horror miser Monty G.
Woohoo!
And our very special guest this evening, Mr. Boogeymen Ben in the house.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
His second time on the show.
Yeah, September of 2022 was the last time.
Very
I
cool.
still remember that. No, I just have a good
That
memory.
Long ago? Wow.
I can't even tell you what month it is, and it's the end of the year.
Yeah, I have a good memory. I don't know why.
Wow.
Might I say, that is a quality tree you've got there. I like it.
That
Oh
is a
yeah,
very
it changes
Very
colors.
nice.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
just turned it to the purplish bluish color for Christmas,
Appropriate.
but it flashes and it's orange, and I just ended up moving it in here because we were having it in different parts of the house, and I hate tearing it down, so I just said, well, I'll just put it in here so it can just be up
Nice.
around. So like when I'm on conference calls on
Right.
my job, people are like, why do you have a Christmas tree in your background? I'm like, it's a Halloween tree.
It's a
Hey,
Easter tree, a Valentine's tree.
Yeah.
No, it's a Christmas tree, but it has horror elements in it.
Yeah, I got some Christmas, some horror, so it's fun.
Very cool.
Well, and thanks for inviting me. I mean, I really am
Of course.
happy to be here
Thanks
with
for
everybody
accepting.
again.
Perfect.
Of course. I love doing. I'm starting to do a lot more of these, so I'm more comfortable now. I think the
Oh, yeah.
first time was one of the first live shows I ever did,
Mm.
so that was a little nerve wracking, but that's fine. That's an old hat now.
You're gonna do awesome. No worries.
Oh yeah,
Especially on the year-end best of.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Hey, Dan.
can't believe it's been it's been a very long year, so it's like
I think
No
Sean froze
shit.
up. I think Sean froze up on us.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
You're
no.
right. Oh,
either that or he's just really staring into his monitor.
yes. He's really concentrating on his best and worst this time around.
Sean, stop trying to hypnotize
Sean,
the audience. We told you to get to that vampire thing again.
It's important to chill, but don't chill so much that the Mr. Freeze would say, "Hey, time to."
Oh, you chased him away.
Ah, damn it. I do that all the time.
Well, who's going to take control of this car? I guess it's me.
Not you. Not you.
Well, I'm a guest, so it's not going to be me.
Oh, Dan in the chat says Sean had too much eggnog.
And starting
Damn
early.
shame. Damn shame.
I know, yeah.
It is
Lost
the
another
10th.
one.
Man, it's been a hell of a year for horror, though, hasn't it?
Oh,
It's
yes.
been a really interesting year for horror.
Yes, that's a good
I
word.
know. I would say so. It started off kind of sad, and then it came on strong.
Yeah.
It was slow. It was a slow start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's like a
sure.
good slow burn horror movie, It just you start slow, and then as the year goes on, we get better and we get better, and we get past Driveway Dolls, which is clearly not horror, but it was the last movie that I looked at. So
Sean said he will be right back.
excellent,
Sweetness.
woohoo!
We're talking about it backstage, but how about that there 28 years later trailer?
Oh, it looks great. Yeah, I watched it. I was awake at like it was like 1:32 in the morning, and I saw it. I said, "Oh, they already put the trailer because it was supposed to come out today." But I guess they said, "Well, they're going to do it really early in the morning." And I watched it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see it because I've seen the other ones. I think I've seen each one once, but I have them. I just have to revisit them."
Fair point.
Yeah, I like Danny Boyle, but I actually like the sequel more than the first one for some reason.
Same. I actually
Really?
I don't know. I thought the opening really brought you into it more, and I don't know. I wasn't but I have to be fair. The first time I watched, and we've talked about this because the last one we did was George Romero, and we were talking about our favorite Romero films. And I told you I originally was not a zombie fan. I didn't like zombie movies that much. So I think when I saw 28 Days Later, I was still kind of in that phase. And then when I saw it 28 Weeks Later, I was more. I think I started getting into the movies more. So, but no, I do. But I am anxious to see this one and. Great cast. I mean, you got Ralph Fiennes. You got those. I mean, it just looks pretty gnarly.
Yes, it does look really cool.
And it seems.
And here's the question: are we going to get a 28 hour later or 28 minutes later?
No. From what I understand, what's happening is that we get 28 years later, and then there's another film. They shot it back to back. 28 years later, The Boneyard. And that was directed by Nita DaCosta.
Which I'm so stoked for.
And she did Candyman, right? She
did
Candyman. We'll forgive her about the Marvels, but I don't really.
Marvels we can hold Disney for. That was
I couldn't watch. I tried to watch. My wife watched it, and I was like, I'm just kind of. I'm burned out. I'm burned out on some comic book stuff, even though I still like comic books. The movies are just. I don't know. There's too many of them.
Same.
And same thing with the too many TV shows, too many Marvel TV shows. After She-Hulk, I was like, I'm done. I'm like, I can't. You can't. It's like I love the She-Hulk character. I just didn't like that show. I just was like, this isn't. And it was making fun of the Hulk, and I'm like going, that's my favorite character. So I'm like, I can't watch it.
Well, I can understand She-Hulk. They tried to make it too much like because. The She-Hulk character in the comics became sort of like Deadpool, but Deadpool did it better by breaking the fourth wall. I think she was the first one to do it in the comics to break the fourth wall, but Deadpool does it better. And of course, obviously, Ryan Reynolds is just fantastic in playing Deadpool.
Well, I mean, that was the exception. Deadpool and Wolverine was amazing. So it's like that was a lot of fun. But and the Guardians 3 I thought was good. So like those are the last two comic book movies I've really liked.
So you did not see Agatha all along?
I tried to watch the first couple, and I love her.
Catherine Hahn.
I love Catherine Hahn. Step Brothers. That was the first thing I saw her in, and she just killed me in that. But it's just like watching that show. I loved her in WandaVision, but I just don't like the show. My wife loves it, and I'm like, that's great. Watch it. I can't. I kept falling asleep on it, and then I just said, it's just not really what I want to watch. So I'm like, it's got its fans. It's great.
Yeah, it's one of the better Marvel Plus TV shows.
That's what I know people love it.
Yeah, because it did. I was a bit surprised because most of all of them failed. Failed, but especially after She-Hulk, a lot of people were critical. That's when they really hit rock bottom for me with She-Hulk. I did kind of like Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I started watching that one, and I kind of got just like the first two. I was like, this is good because I love Sam Jackson and I love the Nick Fury character. But I was just like, it just again the way it was paced, I just said this isn't interesting. I don't know. Again, it's like, and I still buy comics, so it's like I'm a comic book fan, and I've been one since I was 4 years old. So it's just. I don't know what it is. It's just, and I liked Loki. Loki was good. That was one that was good.
Loki was very good.
Yeah, so there was some and I liked WandaVision. I thought that was a great one. So there's some that have been really good. And I actually liked the Hawkeye one, and a lot of people didn't like that one. So
I enjoyed Hawkeye. I thought it was pretty good. I thought he did a fantastic job. I actually did like the Miss Marvel series. I thought that was a pretty good introduction.
I didn't see it, and I heard she, from my understanding about the Marvels, she was like the one character that people really liked from that. But again, I didn't see the movie all the way.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad. And again, I have nothing against Brie, whatever her name. Brie Larson. So I think she did a fantastic job in Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and the fact that she got the last laugh because the movie made a lot of money because everyone
Yeah, it took
was
my
complaining.
niece to it. She loved it. We had, I mean, I liked it too. I didn't have a problem with it. I know there was a lot of
Backlash.
because of comments she said, but again, it didn't bother me. So it's like I just went into the movie and I'm just like, oh, I don't care what she said. Everybody has a right to their opinion, and I just watched the movie. I'm like, oh, this is entertaining. This is fun, and it was, of course, the lead into Avengers, the Infinity War. So it's like, or Endgame. So it was like, I was like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, I don't know why. It's like, I just feel like I think it's just because of the pandemic. They tried too many television series with the Marvel characters. It eventually got to the point. I remember as a kid, there was always like, you'd be reading one book and they like, oh, but you have to read these 3 books to see what's going to happen. That's what it reminded me of. It's like, I just want to stay on one path. I don't want to have to read 5 other books to understand what's going to happen in the next issue. But
Right. Can you imagine someone 20 years from now going back and trying to like work in that 10-year span of Marvel?
No.
Oh my
I
God.
don't know how they're going to do it.
Go ahead.
No. Finish, please.
Oh yeah. Speaking of trailers, who saw the Snow White trailer?
And Popeye. Don't forget about the Popeye.
Oh God.
See, I would rather watch Popeye.
Now, see the
Snow
Popeye
White.
that cracked me the hell up.
They did a Steamboat Willie one too, because when I went and saw Terrifier 3, they had like this one. It was like a horror version of Steamboat Willie.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is this real?
You had one called The Mousetrap that came out early this year. I won't talk about that, but I will talk about it. But
just not now.
You're the one person who watched that. Okay.
Yeah, the one person watched it, and I said to my viewer, I watched this, guys, so you guys don't have to watch this crap yet.
Yeah.
We don't appreciate
welcome
you.
to the world of really low budget horror. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Trip, I don't think you could find anything good about that movie.
Oh, are you challenging me, Monty?
Oh,
You pick whatever one of those movies you want, and I will find something good and redeeming about it. Do you want it to be Popeye or the Mousetrap? Which one do you want to challenge me on?
Do the Mousetrap one.
Mousetrap?
Here it goes.
If you manage
As long as I can find it. Is it out on streaming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Back.
He's on
It's
Frozen.
somewhere.
That was like the same pros you had when you disappeared. I said, oh, he's still frozen.
How far into the future did you go?
12 minutes, apparently.
Yes.
Back to 1985.
You look good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you
Sorry
talk
about
to Huey
that,
Lewis
guys.
in the news?
Back in
So it
time.
was something.
It
Oh,
is
was
hip to be
something.
square.
And I am square.
You are not square at all, man. You are
No.
our leader, and that makes you not a square.
Even
Yeah,
though
I
you're
get
literally
kicked
contained in a
off
square right
first.
now.
Just started. Can't even get off the ground.
Sorry that happened. It was just weird. We started talking. They're like, "Oh, I think you lost his signal." Then you just disappeared.
Now, just to double check, you didn't have too much eggnog, did you?
No.
Okay, good.
That was one of the
Marty.
3 options we came down to.
Yeah.
Also, Krampus and Bill Goldberg, apparently.
Yeah. And Marty said I started a coup.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, let's finally get started. Sorry about that rude
No.
interruption.
Not
Feel bad
rude.
for you, man.
So we'll start
Technology
with
is
our big guest today. What are your favorite horror films of 2024, Mr. Boogeyman Ben?
Wow,
Hit it.
you're gonna start me with me. Are we doing like a top 5, or how did you want me to?
Usually we kind of round robin, like kind of back and forth from everybody, if I remember right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just throw one out and then we go
Pretty
around the
much, yeah.
table
Kind
thing?
of.
Okay.
That's usually what we do.
Okay. First one I'm gonna start with is one that I just rewatched, and that's Alien Romulus.
Ooh, okay.
I was very frustrated by the Alien franchise after Aliens.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Alien 3. I'm not a fan of Alien Resurrection. I kind of appreciated Alien versus Predator, the first one, just because Lance Henriksen was in it, and it kind of was a little fun and reminded me of the comic books. The second Alien versus Predator, I'm not a big fan of because you can't see half of it. Prometheus, I did like Prometheus, and I think I like that because you were trying something different. You were taking a character that is in one scene in Alien, and you're going, okay, well, what is this character about? Because at that point, they were just calling him the space jockey, and the fact that they were working now like the creation of life, and I said, well, this is interesting. Where can we go with this? And then I felt like the next movie just betrayed all of that. What they did with Noomi Rapace's character angered me so badly. I was like going, are you serious? You took this great character in Prometheus, and in Alien Covenant, she was an experiment for David. And I'm like going, so they just tore her apart and you just see like what's left of her in this one scene. And I'm like, and for Ridley Scott to do that, it just really just soured me. So when I heard about the new one, and I like Fede Alvarez's movies, and I just said, well, I'm curious how this is going to work. And I like that it was between Alien and Aliens. And I just love the cast. I thought Rain and Andy were two great characters that I could get behind. The other characters were more kind of just victims, I guess you can say that. I mean, but it just was so compelling, and I love the fact that they did work in some of what they had tried to establish with those Prometheus films. You know, the whole thing with the black goo and things like that. So you're going, okay, they haven't completely abandoned it. But just for this one, for me, and I love Alien, I love Aliens, this felt like a perfect middle chapter to those movies. Yeah. And rewatching it, I've watched it 4 times now. Mm-hmm. Every time I watch it, I pick up something new, just in terms of like how Romulus and Remus both looked a little bit different. Like one is more reminiscent of Alien, the other one's more reminiscent of Aliens in terms of the technology. There's little things like that, and I just think they did a great job, and they did practical effects. Of course, they used some CGI, but yeah, at the end of the day, I want to see more. I want to see more with that. So yeah, that's my first one.
Were you disappointed that they used Ian Holmes?
I actually watched a making of how they did that, because at first I thought it was completely digital, but it wasn't. They actually built a animatronic, and then what they did was, where I think it kind of is awkward, is the mouth and the eyes, because that's what they digitized. And so there's times I think I think it would have worked better if they kept them a little more shadowed. I think that would have made him look a little bit more, because at first it is jarring. You're going, wow, that is Ian Holm. And I know they did that, with Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, but it is still weird to see an actor that's passed in a new movie. And he's actually one of the core characters. It's just weird.
Yeah, they kind of did a better job with doing Ian Holmes' likeness as opposed to Peter Cushing and Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was weird. I still remember watching Rogue One and seeing him show up. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
I was surprised, I did not expect to see Peter Cushing, in the role, because I heard they was going to try to bring his character back. I said, well, he can't. He's dead. Mm-hmm. It's like, but then they see him. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I've only seen that's ever stopped them.
No, but they did.
I thought hearing his voice is what bothered me, because it sounded nothing like him.
It is weird.
Like, no, that's not him.
Yeah, but he did a good job.
Yeah, I thought they despite that fact, he was still essential to the plot of the film, so he didn't take anything away from it.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't think they overused him. I felt like he was in it enough. It's weird because you have Bishop and Lance Henriksen, that was the creator of Bishop while also being the android. Mm-hmm. So it's like, so when you saw him twice, you're going, well, and Lance Henriksen's still alive, of course, but it was weird. Like you're going, okay, so there's 2 different Bishops. One's the owner of the company, and the other one is the android. But yeah, again, like I said, it was weird, and it did sort of throw me off a little bit. But at the same token, I do feel like to just close it out, I feel like it's just it's a nice continuation, and they are saying that they're going to do another one. So
yeah,
there is rumors that Ridley Scott said that he still hopes that, I guess, what he had planned for his 3rd film, because he was going to do a trilogy, what that'll encompass, but we'll see.
I think everyone's pissed off over Gladiator 2,
which I haven't seen yet. So but I've heard one person. I've heard some people like it, some people don't. But
Ridley Scott's continuing latter day career of wanting to make unnecessary sequels that kind of are slaps in the face to his classic films. Don't know why that's a thing he keeps wanting to do.
Is that better or worse than Francis Ford Coppola with Megalopolis?
Okay, nothing's worse than Coppola, but you know.
Well, yeah, trust me.
Did you see Megalopolis?
I haven't seen
Godfather
that.
3, anybody?
Don't want to see. Oh man, you talk about a waste. I mean, bad enough Gladiator 2 was waste, but Megatropolis is just a pure waste.
There's some good people in it too.
I know, yeah.
Well, good actors do not make a good story.
No,
that is a movie that's going to be studied in film school for everything not to do when making a fucking movie.
See, this is what you don't do when you're a great filmmaker and you make a piece of crap.
I've heard that's what everyone said.
Yeah. God damn.
Excellent pick, and I agree. There were
Romulus
a lot
was
of
really
things
cool.
I really enjoyed about.
and I was surprised because I really didn't know if like I said, Vide has a good track record, but I just really didn't know what it would be like. Just because I still can't watch Alien 3 as much as I love Fincher. I know that there was a lot of studio interference and a lot of
there was a lot.
And a lot of the stuff is thrown back at him, and he's a brilliant filmmaker, one of my favorites. But it betrayed the characters, and you set yourself up with this family dynamic, and then you kill them all during the opening credits, pretty much. And I'm it's like you just stab me in the heart.
I mean, just as bad as what they did in Alien Covenant with Namely Rapace's character. You do the same thing in Alien 3. It's like, what are you guys doing?
You're not learning. Don't do that.
How are you going to do that to two beloved characters? It's like, oh God. I mean, I know the girl that was the only film she made because she just after that she didn't do it any. I don't think she did any type of role other than doing Newt. And she
I think that was the only one she's done. She was actually at a con a few years ago, close to me, which is
I know she still does.
She does the con things every once in a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, like the same. I agree with you. Like you set up the Noomi Rapace character in Prometheus, and that was her movie. And then she's not even a part of the next one, other than a carcass. Like, going, that's terrible.
Good thing Marty's not here because
I was just thinking that.
Go on a rant.
I'll tell you this.
Which one did he love? You kind of cut out a little.
Part 3.
Oh, really? That's
Marty loves Part 3.
There's people that love that movie, and I have no problems with people that love it. That's fine. I visually, I think it's very well done. I think just for me, it's the characters because it's the characters.
It's the characters because I like the characters in Alien 3. It's just that that beginning part really disappointed me a lot when it comes to 3. Yeah, but Marty loves 3.
I love Michael Biehn, so it's like, I love him as Hicks. I love him as Kyle Reese. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors in that genre, and he said he got paid more for his image in Alien 3 that they used than he did actually for his work in Aliens. So that's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
God damn.
So we.
All right, Monty G. What's one of your picks for favorite?
Let's see now. I can go
2024.
I can go a lot of places when it comes to some of the best horror films I saw this year. But let's go on ahead and stick to one of my favorites, A Quiet Place Day 1. Yes.
Don't need to watch it.
It was solid. It was solid. It's the best one because I'm not the biggest fan of those movies. This one has the most heart. This was my favorite out of the ones because it has so much heart. And she was terrified of cats. Like she had to work before. She actually had a phobia of cats. So that makes it even more endearing to me.
Yeah, she said that she actually spent some time with the cat that she had because everyone thought it was a digital cat. I said, no, it's a real cat. God damn it! Yeah, because I was reading that and I was like, I didn't know she was definitely afraid of cats. So she spent I think about a month's time with the cat before they started filming. So she could calm her fears. And that cat was an integral part to the film. You didn't want nothing to happen to that cat because that cat just. It went anywhere. But everyone knows I'm a huge fan of the Quiet the Quiet Place series. I thought this was a nice continuation of the film. I can't wait to the fourth and final film. John Krasinski said they're making a fourth film. It's the final film in the series, so I'm gonna look to see how they're going to conclude the series.
Oh.
So, but Day One was a great film. Great performances by Lupita Nyong'o, and of course the guy that plays whatchamacallit in Stranger Things. I thought he did a fantastic job in that role. Yeah,
Joseph Quinn. I believe.
Yeah, Joseph Quinn.
Yeah.
Of course, he's terrible in Gladiator.
Oh yeah, he's in that. I heard.
Who isn't in Gladiator 2, really?
Got me too at the end. Like, that's what really it had so much heart, and I got a little, like, you guys wouldn't think it. I got a little misty. I wasn't bawling or anything, but I got a little misty-eyed at the end. And I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's really beautiful, and I thought it was really poignant. It's an honorable mention for me, but I really enjoyed it.
It's one I still need to get around to, but as someone who's never liked that franchise,
I don't much either.
I feel like if there's ever going to be a movie from this franchise that's going to work for me, this has everything going with it. The director of Pig did it, which that was my favorite movie of that year. Plus, I'm a big Lupita Nyong'o fan. It kind of doesn't have all the access baggage left over from the other movies that I don't like. So it's definitely one I need to get around to before we get to the.
Yeah, I think you actually will like this one, Bumpy.
Yeah. No doubt, no doubt.
And you like cats.
Yeah, plus cats. So yeah.
I do too. So
Can't go wrong with that. Also, Monty, you didn't mention the fact that the cat is also a very good actor.
Oh
yes.
I thought they did a good job.
Sorry.
And it adds that because that's one thing about horror fans. They don't want they can see people get torn apart. Nothing can happen to an animal.
Yeah,
so
nothing can happen.
It just adds that extra stressful element to it.
The dogs.
I'm still traumatized by The Fly too. That
oh
one.
God, Fluffy! That's what we.
I was 14. I was 14 when that movie came out, and I saw it in the theater. So tell me.
I know. Yeah, I was like, I was like, no, not the dog. No.
It killed me.
Why too?
That's a trigger for all horror fans.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny, Monty, you picked that. I was gonna say that one before, but I was like, I'm glad I did my Alien one because that was gonna be my next one. Was the Quiet Release Day One. I think that's actually my favorite of the three. So I think it goes back to Lupita Nyong'o. Just her dynamic and what she's going through in that film. I think that's again the best horror is when you are empathetic to your protagonist, and I think that's what really just that I was just with her from right as soon as it started. And not that I didn't care for the characters in the other two. It just I don't know. There's this crisis going on worldwide, and then the crisis that she's dealing with internally, and I think that's what made it so much more impactful.
Yeah, because
I haven't seen it yet. Well, was she dying from cancer or something?
Yeah, she's terminal cancer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I think that's what really brings out that movie because although you feel for the family in the first two movies, this one has an emotional impact because of Lupita Nyong'o's character. Especially when the movie begins, you already feel, well, damn, that's sad.
Yeah. And she's withdrawn. She's withdrawn because she's so angry about what's going on. I've only seen it once, but I just remember so many components of it. And again, it's like the movie Us. She's amazing. And and it's funny. We were actually at Universal Studios when they were doing the Us maze. We missed her by a day. She actually was there. And they let her become one of the tethered, because you go through this one part of it and it was just nothing but tethered people and you have to walk through them. And she was one of them. She was there. So it's like we missed her by like one day because we were there. This was 2019. So
that's cool.
That is cool.
I just love that she did that. It's just, you don't hear about a lot of actors doing that.
I love Tito.
Yeah.
Great actress.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give one of my picks. It's it came out real early in the year, and it was The First Omen.
Yes,
baby.
And I hate to do this to everyone, but I want to remind everyone. I want to remind everyone. Last year, everyone was laughing at Jen because everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be a piece of shit," and I was like, "Hey guys, I think it's going to be good." I was the only one of you people that thought it was Jen.
You were the only one who had hope for this movie, and you were right.
Yeah, because Yeah, because I said
Jen was right. You're always right. All hail Queen Jen. She's right about the Omen. She's probably right about every other sequel that's coming out.
Because I didn't know what to expect with the first Omen. Because I said, what are they going to do? It's like I couldn't know what they were doing. It's like, what are they going to do? And how are they going to connect it to the Omen film? But it turned out to be very good.
And then that third act happens. You're like,
yeah, it's pretty wild. I thought it adds something really new and interesting to the series. Absolutely. I think it's a worthy entry in the franchise, and just the idea of the church actually being involved and like responsible for this craziness really it makes it all the more intense,
No, that's the thing about this movie that I really love is it's one of those rare like prequels or sequels or whatever that actually recontextualizes the entire franchise that it's a part of, and it does it incredibly well, and also actually ties in and makes sense to on that with the other movies. But just that little addition of detail, little piece of information of like the whole franchise, you're like, okay, Antichrist and the church is the good guys, and then this movie's like, hey guys,
no, it's evil.
Oh no, the church is kind of evil, guys. I love that little touch, but it drastically shakes up the entire franchise, and it does it so well. Plus, stylistically, this is one of the most beautiful films of the year. It's such a gorgeous film to look like. Every shot's just stunning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite Omen sequel. It's my favorite Omen movie, probably.
Nice.
Very well acted. Everything about it,
And you really got to give Nell Tiger.
Well handled.
Yeah, you really got to give Nell Tiger free credit. She does a fantastic. I mean, she was good in Servant, that Apple Plus TV show Servant, and she does a fantastic job in this role here.
Nice.
Yeah. No, the bit that's the homage to the Possessed is just such a great scene. That scene is so great.
And for the most part, I like it. Like it's one of those ones they pay their nods, but they do it in a very. There's one where it's a little bit, hey guys, remember this. But for the most part,
we didn't need her jumping out a window saying,
they didn't really need to do that.
That's why I said, oh no.
But all the other ones, I love the fact that all of the other deaths are also references to deaths in the original movie, but they're done in really creative spins. That's the only one that I feel is a little too copy and paste from the original movie, but all the other deaths are mirrors of stuff from the first movie.
Yeah, and the car accident was the best. The car accident was the best. The car accident was the best.
The car accident was great. I love that one. That was amazing.
Great choice.
I felt bad for that guy too. He gets stuck between the car and the wall.
That's all great.
No, I was like, ooh,
whoa,
that's painful. Ooh.
And it really took you on a journey. Like you were just immersed in the movie, lost in it in a good way.
Yeah.
And then you see the guy's like still alive, and she's like trying to, hold on to him, and then they scroll down, and like the other half of his body is gone.
That's a good reveal.
I know.
Crazy.
We'll get some duct tape. It'll take care of everything.
There you go. Fix everything.
Fix
Fix everything with duct tape.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I thought it was Gorilla Tape.
No, it's duct tape.
That Gorilla come out.
No, Gorilla is not going to help in this instance. A Gorilla is only going to make things worse. Stick to the duct tape.
I don't think the Gorilla is going to help putting him back together.
No. It's duck or nothing.
And another thing about the film is it leaves room for a sequel to the prequel. I'm curious what they're going to do with that.
Interested what that ending could lead into. That's the one thing where I'm kind of iffy about the movie for, just because like
I like where we're going with this.
I'm curious where we're going. I'm
curious.
I know that's what I said. I said, no, that's going to be interesting to see where they go. They decide to add more to this series.
If you do get a sequel to this and it's the same creative team, I'll be a lot more interested. But like, it's such a bizarre idea that I don't know where you can go with it.
A lot of places.
A lot of places, no doubt.
The question is, good or bad?
Yeah.
Good. I think
exactly.
That's the thing.
Based on the movie, I'd say good.
If it's the same creative team does, we haven't got any word if we're getting a sequel or anything, but
Mhm.
I'd be very curious to see what we could do.
Alrighty, Jen and Velvet, what are your picks?
You want to go or I?
Can I? I'm dying to talk about this.
Okay.
There she goes.
Here she goes.
Okay, so and it's a fairly one again. Every year this happens. Like we start in December, there's always a movie that I hadn't heard anything about, and it'll come up, and I'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm in love with this. This one's my darling." And this year, it was a movie made for $800, guys, and it's free to watch on YouTube. And the name is called Milk and Cereal. And
I heard about this.
It's fucking God.
This was
Get on
officially
it, guys.
released in a theater, or
No,
On
these
their
two
channel.
guys. Yeah, these two guys made this found footage film called Milk and Cereal. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, and they have a channel called That's a Bad Idea. And the guy's name, he wrote and directed it, and it's Curry Baker, and he is fucking brilliant. And they're funny guys. Like the channel itself is funny. I didn't know about him, but once I was doing research for the review, I heard about him, and I'm like, oh, I got to check you guys out. And oh my god, this is as good as a Creep movie. It's different, but it's so smart. And the idea and why, because I know people who don't. Not everyone likes found footage. But this is like one where they're talking to the camera. They're YouTube people in the movie. They're YouTube people, and it makes sense. And also being a YouTube person, if you have a partnership, there's always a bit of a rivalry. And when you find out why all this fuckery's happening, you can't condone it. But you're like, if you're an artistic person, you're like, I understand. I can't condone it, but I understand it.
Especially given the thing of like it's a prank channel and like every single person in this movie is kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, to different levels. And this movie sucks you in. Like I don't want to oversell it, guys, but I was so blown away by this. You guys have got to see it if you haven't. It's
I'll check it out. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I heard about
Cereal is like a serial killer, not like breakfast
spelled with an S.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I thought that's what caught my attention was that it was Milk and Cereal, and I was like, ooh, somebody's a serial killer.
And it starts out with a prank. They're two guys, and they do pranks on his YouTube channel. And one of them has a birthday coming, and the other one plays a prank, and things spiral out of control. And it is a little fantastical, but it makes so much sense. I think where this movie works so well is that it's solid. It's such smart writing. It's believable, and you're on a journey. And also, their humor bleeds into this movie. There's some creepy parts in it, but it's also
the bit at the Home Depot was really funny.
You saw it, yeah. Oh, you did see it.
The bit at the Home Depot was a really good laugh.
Yeah, it was, and what I also really like when I talk about why it's creepy, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be going on and on about it.
No, go.
Is that he murders people. That's not a spoiler either. But what really good turns him on is it's gaslighting. He wants to fuck with people. Yeah, he's fucking with people, and to me, that's getting killed. That's one thing. But when someone's really fucking with your mind, it's like rape. It is. It's mental rape. It's mental rape, and it's it's really fucked up.
Is he worse than the character on Creep?
They're different. You're going to notice some similarities, but they're also very different. Where Mark Duplass has this kind of charming awkwardness to him until he's raising an axe to you. This guy, he's like a guy you wouldn't necessarily pay attention to, but when you focus on him and you start paying attention to him, this would be a guy I'd be like, this guy gives me the creeps. His name is Milk, Monty.
Wow.
I'm gonna take my drink with me while you're in this.
You know what? I'm going to go somewhere far away where you're not.
Basically, yeah. And it's very short runtime, but I think that's where it strengths too, because it doesn't overstay its welcome. But man, you are on a fast. If you like a movie that goes fast paced, this one you can't catch your breath, but in the best way possible.
Nice.
So it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's always good when you see a tightly edited thing, especially because YouTube stuff just generally can be quite bloated. So to see it like cut within an inch of its life, but it only leaving the important pieces is refreshing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Have you seen it?
How you can make
I haven't, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sorry, I was just saying, amazing how you can make a movie for that little.
really impressive what they
yeah.
were able to pull off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have not seen it, but I heard someone else talk about it earlier this year. And frankly, until you brought it up, I had completely forgotten about it. It's on my list. It's just my list is, miles long.
I feel you.
You have a long list.
Yes. But who doesn't really, honestly?
Yeah.
Exactly. But this is one I would, if you guys are watching out there, put it up on higher on your list. You might not love it to my degree, but I don't think anyone's gonna go. That was well, you guys probably are thinking she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
No, not at all.
Movie.
Well, she's right. Yeah.
Anyone that I've talked to that's seen that has had the same reaction. It's something quite unique when it comes to YouTube style movies. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very much so.
What about you?
There's plenty I could go over, but I'll kind of go in a little bit of release order. The one movie that I know a lot of people this didn't work for them at all, but I had a feeling about it back when I saw the trailer, and I was right about it, and it just really fucking clicked with me. And it's kind of my comfort movie I've kept coming back to over the course of the years. Just I want to have a good time, just kind of relax. That being Lisa Frankenstein. I had a
love
blast
that movie.
Frankenstein.
Didn't see it.
Is like one of my favorite horror actresses right now up there with like Melissa. Like this was the year of like her and Melissa Barrera really cementing themselves like some of the defining horror actresses of the modern day, and she's great in this, and just everything around it. Like Zelda Williams' directing style is really unique, and I really like it. And Diablo Cody's script is really damn fun. It has a little bit of those sprinklings of like your Jennifer's Body and even a little bit of Juno, but it still has such a unique feel of it all of its own. A lot of people kind of liken it to Jennifer's Body, but it goes for a very different feel that I really like. And I think it's also has some of the best comedy of the year. There's so many good bits in this movie. I just fucking love everything about this movie. It's stylistically gorgeous. The score is great. Pretty. The cast are all fantastic. It's got some great gags. Has a lovely dick capitation, which is always a good requirement. Love that. It's just overall just a vibe of a movie. That's how I can describe it. Is it just a vibe?
It didn't work for me.
I know it didn't.
People have likened it like your generation's Heathers. I've heard a few people. Usually they're my age.
Yeah, I don't really see Heathers from it. It just has its own feel, but I can kind of see it. Like it's very much a quirky, dark-minded teen movie. It definitely was way more interesting, appealing to a teen audience as opposed to older horror fans.
Old people.
Yeah, exactly. Dinosaurs.
No, for what it's worth, I really enjoyed it too. The way that they took on the way that they took on the Frankenstein mythos, but they really turned it on its head. Like the whole thing with the tanning booth. I laugh my ass off every single time.
Yeah, it's really damn cool. And I again, like you said, it really captures the Frankenstein thing too. Even when it went down to the fact of Frankenstein always had butted heads with academia, and same thing with her and her school in this movie. And so I like all those little touches that it incorporates into the Frankenstein mythos. Plus, Cole Sprouse gives a really great nonverbal performance. His body acting is fantastic.
Zach and Cody kid.
Yeah.
He has so many really great little mannerisms that just gives off some really great. He has so much personality, even though he has no dialogue in the entire movie. He has so much personality, and it's entirely due to Cole Sprouse's acting. Did not know Zach and Cody had it in them, or Jughead, whichever one you want to go for.
It's a good choice, and it seems like people kind of already forgotten about it because it came out kind of at a weird time.
A little bit TikTok of the horror community on TikTok still fucking loves the hell out of this movie. I saw a lot of people doing Lisa and the monster for their couple's Halloween costumes this year. But yeah, it's definitely one that has kind of faded back since it came out in February.
Yeah. Which is a shame. I'm glad you're highlighting it.
Oh, yeah.
In case anyone hasn't seen it.
I love the hell out of this movie.
Oh yeah. And it plays some good homages, but it kept very much within its own thing. It worked well.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty decent film for what it was. I know it wasn't for me. I know I wasn't its target audience, but I thought it was a decent film, a different take on the Frankenstein genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Christy was in the chat, guys, saying happy holidays.
Yeah, no, I saw her.
Hello.
Happy holidays.
All right, Trivial Theater. I know you got something.
What you got for us?
I got Street Trash.
I knew you got
the remake, right?
I saw it as part of a Discord movie watch group.
Oh wow!
Or based on their recommendation, and I kind of have mixed feelings about the '87 version.
Same.
It does tell a good story, and there's some great effects, but to some extent, it feels like it's trying to do trauma, but not the way that it was not as successful as it could have been, kind of taken off of trauma. But my God, the 2024 version, I was in love. It is such a fun and gross and like socially aware movie without like shoving it down your throat. It works on so many levels. It talks about stuff that is as on point now as it would have been, 20 years ago. The effects are fantastic. It tells a really good story. It's funny as hell, and it fires on all cylinders. And I not enough people are going to see it, but I hope people will, because it is so fucking good.
Absolutely.
The minute I saw that poster of Street Chats, I said, "This is a Trib movie. He's gonna love this."
Oh God, it was so good.
Yeah, it's really great.
I mean, it's not for everyone. It's definitely got it's goofy gore. Like it's as neon as the '87 one was. Done a little bit more securely, I think. But the way that they do practical effects, again, the humor is it is fantastic, and it is so fucking gory, but in a really weird way. It's awesome.
Was this made by the same people that made Fried Barry? Because I know the actors.
Yes, it was.
Because he's in this one too. Because I enjoyed Fried Barry. Yes.
Oh yeah, then you definitely enjoy this.
As soon as I started the movie and I found out it was in South Africa, I'm like, wait a second, is this the Fried Barry team? And then that actor showed up, and I'm like, okay, it's them.
Well, and giving it a little bit. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Velvet.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the fact that it does give you well, I guess the original was in Brooklyn. The fact that you can see that it's not just a U.S. thing; it's kind of all around the world that this kind of stuff goes on. I like the fact that it was not in the States, just for a different context.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I like how that's the thing I really like about it is it surprises you. Like, yeah, it basically could be considered a remake, but it's a sequel to the original movie. They mentioned the events of the first movie, and I like how it all ties in without being like overly referential or like, oh my God, the original characters from the first movie. Like, no, none of that shit. They're just like, hey, this weird shit that happened in the 80s, we found some of it here. Let's melt the homeless with it. Yeah, I do, and I think this movie does like that legacy sequel kind of styling really damn well. It goes up there like Candyman 2020. Like, it's a great example of what you can do with a legacy sequel. You don't have to overly rely on that original movie. You can still have an identity all your own and still pay homage and reverence to the original movie. Constantly going, hey guys, remember when this happened, and remember when this happened.
Are you talking about any franchise?
None whatsoever.
And the way that they pay homage too, like you see those little like the Viper liquor on the side of the truck. Or there was the one guy that got melted that looked a little bit like the one brother from the original Street Trash. Moments like that worked so well. You get the one guy that was hit by a truck and essentially exploded in the same way that the one guy from RoboCop exploded.
I love that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
It's not just a love letter.
Get away from me!
It's homaging every single movie from the 80s in which somebody gets melted by toxic waste, which was a constant thing. A lot of movies have it. There's a little bit of body melt in here too. Yep. There's a lot of really great homages and references, but again, not over or stuffing your face into it. If you notice it, cool. If not, let's move on with the goddamn plot of the movie.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. And it's just really enjoyable cast of characters too for this one, which I think something the original Street Trash kind of was lacking in a little bit. This movie's cast are all really enjoyable. Everyone's performances are really good and really heartfelt. Plus, I love how over the top and just pure evil the mayor of Cape Town is. He's such an demonstrable piece of shit. But also, it's 2024. Yeah, I could totally believe this guy holding power.
And the way that it kind of calls back to some 80s humor, like the character Chef is like very much an epitome of like an 80s character, but it's not done in a way that's over, like that's so over the top that you can't like enjoy his performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Like in the whole couch, like the way, like the opening sequence where you meet all the people and like the one guy's like popping out of the couch and the other one is like covered in like he's camouflaged as trash. Oh my God, it's fantastic.
It's all really great.
It's a good try. I'll have to check it out.
It's fun. It's really good.
It is.
Also, it's nasty. That's like there's a bit you'll really hate involving feet in this movie.
Oh boy.
I still haven't seen the original one. I've never seen the original.
haven't either.
Yeah,
no, I haven't seen the original one.
Yeah.
The one
I've heard
thing
people
to
talk
remember,
about it.
The one thing to remember with the original is there's a lot more hype around it than what it actually is.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's not anywhere near as crazy as you're led to believe. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, but the one thing I will say about the original, they took the idea of how they killed, like how they exploded people, in different directions for each person, whereas they're pretty succinct across all the ones in this one. But that's a very, very small point. And yeah, it's worth a watch. Just remember that was trying to be trauma back when trauma was big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very true.
So.
Very good choice. Good choice. And you know what I like is like some of these movies I haven't, heard or I heard about and I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
So it's good that we're putting this out there on the radar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was out. I knew it was coming out. I didn't know.
Yeah, because I saw the trailer and I saw some posters of it.
Yeah.
No, the poster is very striking too.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm gonna mention one that's kind of caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting. I was just kind of flicking through the channels and I stumbled upon it. I'm like, this looks interesting, and it was Apartment 7A.
The Rosemary's Baby.
I did watch that.
Yes.
I did watch that one.
Did not watch that one.
It's
like,
on
wait a
my
minute.
to-watch list.
Good watch.
On my I know what it's about, though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's the prequel to Rosemary.
Yeah, I
Rosemary's
thought it was
Baby,
very
yeah.
interesting, and it had a great look to it, kind of a retro feel like the original Rosemary's Baby, and I liked how they kind of blended in like elements to that reminded me of like Suspiria and stuff with her and the ballet dancing and all that. And I thought it was a good, prequel to
I enjoyed it.
Rosemary's Baby. I thought the performances were very good. It was great cast, very well done. I was very surprised. I wasn't expecting it. I was just watching some random movie and I was like, wow, this is Rosemary's Baby,
No, they did a good job in terms of the look. I agree with you in terms of like it does feel like it fits in that world. It doesn't feel like it's so jarringly different from the Polanski film. I thought they blended it well, and the people that they cast that play, the actors that played them in the original film are no longer with us in some cases. So to have these new actors come in, and I felt like they had those characteristics really well, while also doing their own thing with the parts.
True. I thought maybe they stuck to the original plot maybe a little bit too much at times, but I think overall, it was interesting,
It's always interesting when you never expect them to do that with a movie that well known, to go back and try to do something that takes place before it.
I know.
But yeah, I was curious how it was gonna work out, but actually, like I said, I've seen it once and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'd revisit it.
Very cool. I'm gonna check it out before the end of the year.
I've never been a big Rosemary's fan.
I know
it's not a problem.
And I'm passive with it too. Like I've seen it maybe 3 times, so it's like it's not one that I've revisited a lot. But it's same thing with a lot of Polanski films. I've seen them like once or twice, and that's about it.
Yeah. Also, David, I'll get to it. Trust me, we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've seen Immaculate, David. And thank you, Christy, for the hat. We've been paying attention. I didn't want to interrupt anyone.
Right.
Ben, you got another one for us?
Yeah, I got a few. The next one I want to talk about, because this one I didn't get to see in theaters, so I didn't see it until it jumped onto streaming. But Smile 2. I really liked that movie, and I love the original. And again, it was another one, didn't get to see it in theaters. I saw it when it came out on streaming. But Smile 2, I keep going back and forth. I love the first one because I thought Saucy Bacon was so good in the first one. And it just the circumstances of what this demon does to people is just terrifying. And that it never lets you be. And you never know what situation you're in, if it's really that person, if it's something that they're manipulating you with. But to the character, the Sky Riley character, and let me make sure I get the actress's name right.
Naomi Scott.
Naomi Scott. Naomi Scott. I thought she blew me away, and just
She's
somebody
phenomenal.
that's so she's had this horrible accident that happened. She's trying to restart her career. She's got all of these things going against her because she's still in pain from the accident. She's just going to try to get some medicine, some Vicodin for her back, and just happens to, that something happens that causes this demon to latch itself onto her, and she's on this global, this global person that's like constantly being watched, constantly in the spotlight, and to see that this thing is attacking her in these different ways than the first one, which was just focused on a doctor. I just thought it was just taking it to another level while not making it cartoonish. It was like they really did a good job, and you really sympathize with this character, and the way that she played the part, I thought was just as she gets more and more frantic as it goes along. I just thought it was brilliant, and I hope that if they can keep it in this kind of vein in terms of the way that the pacing and the storytelling, if Parker Finn can keep doing these, I would love to see more. And I just thought he did a great job with this, and I also thought bridging the first film with this one was really well done at the beginning too. I really liked it started. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I was curious, like, just based on the way the first one ended, how are they going to? They're going to have to start it from that point, because it only is like 6-7 days before you're finally, overtaken by this thing, and you end up killing yourself, and then it's passed on. So it's just like, I'm going, how is this going to happen? And just the way that it all fell into place, wrong place, wrong time is all I'll say. It just like, I thought it was so well done because it wasn't so obvious of how this was going to happen. And it was brilliant. It just was brilliant. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. Absolutely.
I also heard a lot of good things about that.
I also really like how it expands on a lot of the themes that the original movie had of like mental illness and stuff, but transplanting it to being more of a story about addiction and societal expectations, which are key parts of mental illness and can really affect that. But taking that spin on it and really focusing in on us, I really liked how it all does. Plus, holy shit, that fucking ending, though.
Yeah, I'm like, how they go from there, I'm like gonna go. That's just when it was happening. I'm like, oh fuck, it's really gonna go. It's gonna go far. It's gonna go far. No, this is really what's gonna happen.
I'm super curious what we can do from there. And I'm usually someone who hates that style of ending, to be as vague as possible, like that style of like, so it was a little bit of like some of this movie was not what it seemed. But it does it incredibly well here. I really like how they do it. And that reveal at the end of her at the concert is just like, holy shit, I did not think you had this in you. I was someone who appreciated the original Smile but didn't love it. But this really damn impressed me. And again, her performance is one of the best of the year. She fucking
and again, like I think that there was more of a mind manipulation in this one just because of what you brought up with addiction and just the way her mother treated her. And, just there's little things in it that I caught, and I'm like going, oh, I wonder if that's what's going on here, because this doesn't make sense just based on some of the conversations that happened earlier. And then I find out like, oh, they did do that. That's great. That's because there's times you're going, is this real? Is this something in her head? Because of the way the demon manipulates with you and pretending to be other people and things like that. I just, and like I said, it hooked me with the opening. That just like as soon as it started, I'm like, oh, this is great the way it's done, because you feel like you're in the scene with that person going through the motions, and then as just sort of you're going, oh, it's just gonna get worse. It's like it's just getting worse.
I'll tell you too. I think that part of their casting process had to be creepy smiles, like your ability to do a creepy smile.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the creepy smiles in this were
that little girl.
The little girl. No, that's why I enjoyed Smile and this one too, because unlike that Truth or Dare one, it's like,
oh god,
I didn't see that. I didn't even see that movie.
Enough with the CGI smiles. Come on, that's not creepy looking. It's like, come on.
That's like Bill Skarsgård, who plays Ben. He really can do that. That's
Yeah.
Because Bill Hader asked him, he's like, "Oh, how do you do that?" He's like, "Oh, you mean this?" And he did it for him, and it just freaked him out.
And just the level of unreliable narrator in this. Now, obviously, that's something that happens across a lot of movies, and you know that the demon is going to be continuously manipulating, but to have it on that level.
Yeah,
everybody knows you and everybody's watching you, and if you're a celebrity of that magnitude, she's not just like the character in the first one where she's a doctor and she can go wherever she wants. It's like I thought it was a great way of taking it up a notch without overdoing it.
Got to give Parker Finn credit. He did a incredible job.
Amazing job.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jack Nicholson's son in this.
Yeah,
he's creepy as hell.
I know
he's creepy.
One scene is like, wow, he just looks like his pop.
He even sounds like him at certain times when I heard him talk in an interview. He does sound a little like him too.
How about you, Monty? You got any other picks?
Oh, yes. It's time to pick another one of my favorites. Let's go with Immaculate.
Yes! Yes!
First, we had The First Omen, and now we have Immaculate. It's like, what is going on with religion now? It's like
bizarre, isn't it?
It was.
Really good year for you.
Alike they are.
Mm-hmm. And they're very similar. And Sydney Sweeney does a fantastic job in her role in the film. And again, we got the church trying to do devious things to try to get them. I think that's what it's fascinating that you see the church trying to get people to have more faith in them in devious ways.
The reveal of what the evil plot is of this movie, I'm like, huh? How did you come to this idea, guys? What the fuck?
It is a little, because the movie's very grounded until we get to that point.
The thing. I wish that's the thing, because I wasn't as hot on this movie as you were, Monty were. But I wish we would have gone in and explored that idea a bit more, a little sooner. But I gotta give the movie props for just going that far with that weird of a concept and just running with it.
Oh yeah, that was, I was not expecting that, and I'm like, what?
Who would?
They're going there?
It got a little nuts towards the end. I thought.
That's what I've heard. I've heard about it.
Yeah, the end of the film goes real crazy out there. And I'm pretty sure it probably got some controversy what happens at the end of the film.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
And I think I did hear about that.
I said this in our review, like you're either that character or you're a Rosemary because of what she does with the baby. And we are talking about women's and I know you weren't as hot on it as I am, but I really feel this is a movie that has so much to say about women's autonomy.
Argument about that. Yeah.
I loved this movie. And like I said, like I'm a Rosemary. I couldn't do what she does at the end, but that scene where she's just gawing, and it reminded me so much of The Brood and Cronenberg.
Yes, I know that's what it did too.
Umbilical cord. Oh my God. That was one of my favorite scenes all year. I was like, oh my God, I'm here for it. And then Sparky was sitting right next to me. And when you hear that sound,
I started cackling.
No.
And I was like, oh my God, no. Like I knew where we were going, but I was like, and then the sound, and to me, it's sounds that get you, and that sound design is brilliant.
Yeah, gotta give the sound guy credit.
Yeah,
that just like, ooh.
Yeah, it's a cool flick. It's definitely a movie that I wasn't as hot on even from go, and as soon as I saw The First Omen, like a week later, I was like, this does everything that movie did, but better.
Yeah.
I still appreciate what Immaculate was going for, and still think it has some cool stuff going for it.
I loved Immaculate. I did. I'm with you, Monty. I fucking loved Immaculate. It's one of it's a good movie.
I do want to see it. I like Sydney Sweeney a lot, so
I think her performance makes it for me. I thought she really carries the movie, you know.
And unfortunately, she's not nude in this film.
Why would you think that would be my driving force to go see? No, she's beautiful, but she is a great actress too. And Euphoria. I mean, she's
great in Euphoria.
Yeah, she has some rough moments on that show.
We will forgive her for Madam Web, though.
Didn't see it.
You know, every actor has to have one or two of those.
Yeah.
I don't know fucking Madam Web. Oh,
didn't want to see that one either. And I like Dakota Johnson too. I just didn't want to see that one. No.
Okay, Triv, what else you got?
I'm just looking at my list here. I'm gonna go Mads from Spain. It is basically a movie that is it's not one shot, but it's played as one shot.
Yeah.
And it kind of, without going too much into like the bad thing, it's a unique take on the genre that it's part of, and I absolutely love it. Like like from a technical perspective, the way that they transition between like obviously where they're changing shots, it's a very small story. It's relatively enclosed to a small area, but my God, it does some really great stuff. And it's one, again, I don't think a lot of people have seen. It's a Shudder movie, so don't let that stop you.
There's
because
some good Shudder movies.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of great ones.
Yeah, Shudder does have decent horror films.
Yeah, but this one, it's the less you know going in, the better for this one.
Okay.
But it's like a zombie genre type of a thing, but it does it really interestingly. It kind of does sort of what Lisa Frankenstein does. It really flips the story.
Script. Yeah,
but it works really well. And like I say, it's well done. The actors are it's kind of Cloverfield-esque in its approach. Okay. In the way, like, you're kind of the characters, you get to know them a little bit, but they're kind of secondary to what's going on overall.
So the event is, or whatever's going on around them is more of the driving force.
The filmmaking is the priority of the movie, less so the characters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this one does it well.
Climax,
yes. It's very similar. If you've seen a movie by Gaspar called Climax, that it's especially with the drug part of it, because drugs do play a big part in it.
Yeah, they very much do. And they don't over explain things. They just kind of let stuff happen. And I love movies that just let stuff happen. So
absolutely, there's a lot of really cool moments in that movie that I was really impressed by. Like the bit on the scooter, I'm like, damn, that's really damn cool that you were able to pull that stuff off. And there's a few other moments there, and I love all the transitions, like where we shift perspective from characters pretty much seamlessly. I think it's all really done exceptionally well.
Yeah, it is. But it is, and the places it goes is just across the board. It's
absolutely.
Like you say,
especially like how wide of a scale it was. Like, because for most movies that come off like they're one takes, usually they're in like a more confined space, or usually like one or two locations. This movie goes all over this goddamn city, and it does really great. It looks really great. It's pretty seamless. There's very few moments where you can really tell, okay, that kind of looks like you may have made a cut there, but you're not 100% sure until you do some research.
Absolutely. And I think they probably incorporated some CGI to be able to transition the way that they do. It's not all like drop to back or behind someone's head, but like going all the way back to Hitchcock with Rope, like any of those movies that can do that and do it well, even if it's not 100% seamless, are win in my book.
Same. I'm always a sucker for movies that give off a one-take vibe. I always love that.
Absolutely.
Approach.
It's a hell of a feat to do it.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it is, and it works if you have the right director and a good editor. I mean,
and not a huge budget. I don't remember what I remember looking up the budget. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't significant. So with the people that you had and everything else, it was very well done.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite one takes is 1917 is one of my favorites. I know it's not a horror movie, but I think that's a
it is very good. It's very well done.
I
didn't mean to cut you up, John. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm a bad
Jen
guest.
and Velvet, you got another pick for us?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. I don't watch movies.
You don't watch movies.
Okay, I'm sitting here because I have a few, but I think I know the next one I'm going to talk about, just because it's one a few people have seen, but I'm trying to bring movies that I think might have gone under people's radar, and this is a movie that made me feel things, and it's not just because I'm a parent. You know where I'm going with this one. Coffee tables and parenthood.
Oh, man.
I knew you were going to say coffee tables.
Oh man,
I heard about this.
Yes,
I've heard about this one. I didn't know if I wanted to see it. I heard it's rough.
Brutal.
I've heard it's rough.
It's rough, but it's also, and I'm serious when I say this, there is a darkly comedic element.
It's a black comedy.
It
is very much a black comedy.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it's called Coffee Table.
Yeah,
it's called.
And what it is about, guys, it is about, like, you're dealing with, I mean, there's a newborn baby, and just with the name, The Coffee Table, and it's a horror movie, you know things ain't gonna go good.
Wow.
But and any parent, and I mentioned this in our review, any parents, you have that, any parents in the audience already, because just as a parent, you just are horrified at the thought of a little innocent baby, anything happening to. But what gets me is it's about relationships, right? And one of the parents knows something that the other parent doesn't for half of the movie, or all the people in the movie, and you're looking at it through his perspective, and the other parent doesn't know, and she's laughing at her own misfortune. She's teasing him and saying she thinks that the blood is her husband's, not the baby's, and she's laughing, and she's like, "You gave me the best joke ever." And that just struck me, because how many times have we looked at people and, like, we're telling them something and they have no fucking idea what we're going through, and that to me is terrifying. And we've all thought, you guys kind of got your karma, and sometimes we're laughing at our own misfortune. This movie I couldn't get out of my head, and it haunted me. And yeah, a dead baby will get parents, but it's very psychological, and just the thought of how we really don't, even in our own heads, we don't know what the fuck's going on sometimes, let alone the person. Even if we love a person, we don't know what's going on in our heads, and this movie gets it right. And it's fun. I know you're thinking, but Jen, you said it's funny.
It has a lot of really it has a lot of really fucked up funny guys.
It does. And it also has a teenage girl living next door that wants to fuck the father. And
also the movie The Crush is also happening next door for some reason.
Wow.
But it's a really, like, you can dig deep. Like, it's a heavy subject matter, but like I said, it's not just about a dead baby. It's just about how we don't really look at each other. And do I sound like a pretentious? I probably sound like a pretentious.
No,
asshole.
you absolutely don't. You don't. Because I checked out this movie under your recommendation, and it was a wrecking ball. Like from moment one. Like even the style of the coffee table is so goofy, and oh my god, the way that they describe the coffee table and how much like floral language there is with it. It's just moments like that, and the fact that all of that comes back around, and it's and the fact that like the weird baby sculpture on the wall, like on the bookcase.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god.
And where the funny is, like, with the coffee table salesman is like kissing their asses the whole time, and the guy finally looks at him because the wife likes it, the husband doesn't. He looks at the salesman and he goes, "Would you get this coffee table?" And mind you, the whole scene they're like kissing his ass, and he goes, "No," and it's just really funny.
No. I also love the weird running joke of like the coffee table salesman being like desperately want to either like become friends with the husband or like possibly lovers. There's some like interesting with that character that I kind of thought was a funny running gag.
Yeah, it's one that it kind of went under people's radar, and I wish more people would check it out. It's a hard watch, but it's, I think, a well worth it watch.
It is. I wasn't as hot as you were, but it definitely is something I'm glad I saw from the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Sallow level hard, but it definitely, in its own way, it'll definitely hit you out of left field, even when you know what's like coming. You can kind of imagine what's coming, and when you see it, it's like, I need a second.
Yeah, very much so.
It's a great. What about you?
I guess continuing, since we just talked about Immaculate, I'll talk about the other indie horror movie put out by Neon that also starred a cast member of Euphoria. That being Hunter Schafer in Cuckoo.
Cuckoo. I did like Cuckoo.
Is in fucking sane. This is
you got that right.
This was kind of a year of movies seeming very normal and standard on the surface, but having insane, bizarre-ass reveals in their third acts. Cuckoo is my favorite of them that did that. You will not see where this movie is going by its third reel.
But and Dan Stevens.
Yeah, also Dan Stevens. Yeah. Like Hunter Schafer gives a stellar performance.
Yeah.
But, like, I've always loved Dan Stevens ever since The Guest. I didn't recognize him because he does a flawless German accent in this.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not recognize him because I'm used to, like, hunky American stuff. What gave it away was later on in the movie when he has a gun, I'm like, you kind of have the body language of Dan Stevens in The Guest. Oh, wait, it is Dan Stevens. But yeah, I just really love how weird this movie goes.
It was a very weird movie.
Yeah, very weird.
I liked it though.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has a lot of really cool set pieces too. Like even just removing the insanity that is the climax, it just has some really fun and interesting set pieces. I love one of my favorite scenes this year was the bit of Hunter Schafer riding a bike and slowly you notice something in the background chasing her.
The shadow.
Yeah, shadow. Yeah.
That scene was one that I just got instantly sucked into. I was like, whoa, that's a cool way to do this. I really like that. Plus the themes of like isolation and everything, I think just really landed excellently. I loved the hell out of Cuckoo.
Where they shot it was beautiful. I mean,
it's
beautiful and haunting at the same time, but it was
absolutely.
It was really isolated,
Yeah. Also, just a really kind of genuine, like surprisingly sweet and sincere way to close out the movie too. Like kind of coming together and having that found family aspect. I really like that.
Why do you think? Because I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my to watch list. But why do you think that? Because I've heard some people who say they hated it. I've heard a few other YouTubers.
I mean, besides the obvious fact of Hunter Schafer being in it, and a lot of people have issues with her for obvious reasons.
She's great.
Yeah, she's fantastic. But I think it's just the fact that like it's definitely not a movie for everyone. And if you want like your more standard like psych thriller or something, this is not that. This goes
it's not. Yeah,
bizarre territory. But I really love how it executes it. It's something you can very obviously tell. A foreign man made this because it just takes this weird idea that most American filmmakers would not think of, and it just goes for it.
I think that's what I liked about it. It's like it's not the norm. It's like I don't want to see the same things over and over. Sometimes.
Exactly.
I want to see somebody take something and say, "I'm going to surprise you with what we're doing."
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got some really great recommendations from you guys. Thank you. So everyone check these great films out for 2024. And before we get into the worst horror films of 2024.
God knows those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got some real stinkers.
Yeah.
You could say some of them didn't sink or swim, could you, Monty?
Yeah, I got that
right. Since we've got the great Boogeymen Ben here, I definitely wanted to talk about this film because I thought it was a great opportunity, and that is the remake of Salem's Lot. So I'm very, very interested to hear Ben's thoughts on the remake of Salem's Lot that just came out this year.
I figured.
I wanted to hear yours and American Werewolf's take on this remake. Because I know you guys are a huge Salem Lot fans.
Yeah, that's my favorite movie, the original 79 version. So it's like, so I've done it. I did quite a few. I did a series on my channel called Reworking the Lot. I started it 3 years ago when the movie was originally going into production. And I followed it from casting to when they started filming. And then, of course, it went through CinemaCon. It kind of got stalled. Then they did reshoots, and then it played in a few festivals. Then it stalled for like 2 years, and we didn't know what was going to happen with it. Now, from my understanding, I do know that there is a longer cut of the film. It was originally 3 hours.
Yeah,
they cut it down to just under 2. I've seen the film. I actually got a screener for it, so I watched it about a week before it debuted on Max, on HBO Max here in the States. I actually really liked it. And I didn't know if I was going to, because I don't like the 2004 miniseries with Rob Lowe. I'm not a big fan of that film at all.
Not a lot of people are.
I like James Cromwell. I think James Cromwell, he was great as Father Callahan. But other than that, that movie has no mystique to it. It has no tension. It has no fear. It's miscast in so many ways. And so I was curious, and I don't like Return to Salem's Lot at all. So it's like, I was like going, so it's a bad track record. And when I found out I found out in 2019 they were doing another one. I found out who was involved with it, and I said, well, it's going to happen. Hopefully they can make it good and interesting. And my friends and I do a small podcast every once in a while we're called the Salem's Lot Minority, and we've been interviewing a few people, and we just interviewed Danielle Perry, who plays Marjorie Glick in the new movie. So we got to talk to her about it. So we got some ins and outs about how they did some of the behind the scenes stuff. A lot of stuff that looked like it was CGI was actually practical. So I thought that was really cool. And I think that the studio really did this film a disservice. Number one, they chopped an hour off of it. So you don't have the character expositions that you want. If you have a movie like this where you have so many characters, you want to get to know them. And I felt like that was the weakness of the film, is that you didn't really get to know a lot of these characters before everything just starts happening. The other thing was I felt like they chopped off this one part at the beginning of the film that dealt with Ben Mears going into the Marston house and encountering Huey Marston. That was completely chopped off of it because test screeners didn't understand this ghost story that was tied into a vampire movie. That's what I've heard. But what's really tragic about it is that Derek Mears played Huey Marston. So Jason Voorhees played Huey Marston, and they chopped it off the movie. So that's another thing that made me angry. And when you did that, the mystique of the Marston house, which is a character unto itself in the original, it's just a big old house in this movie. There's nothing scary about it. Now, all that being said, I did really like Jordan Preston Carter as Mark. I thought he was fantastic, and there was so much drama and racist comments that I got because he was a different race. But it was like, I'm going, are we really still there as a society? But I guess we are. But that made me angry. But he stole the movie. I thought that Lewis Pullman did a great job as Ben. He's not David Soul, but he did a good job. And I really thought that the vampire moments. I mean, they did some really, and Bill Camp, another person I want to say as Matt Burke, was also really, really good in it. But I thought the vampire elements really worked in it. And I think for me, because I love that original film so much, this for me is almost like, you could say it's an homage. You can say that, there are some moments in it that harken back to that original film, but I felt like they put time and effort into this film. I felt like everybody really did give it their all. Now, whether that comes across, I've had people say they can't believe that I liked it. I've had people say that I'm not a true Salem's Lot fan because I like it. But my whole thing is that I go, different strokes for different folks. You like it, you don't like it. I've never told anybody to like something that I do. But if I do like something, it surprised me that I liked it. And I watched it 3 times before I did my little breakdown of it. I do feel like it suffers from bad editing in terms of them chopping so much off of it.
Got a little of that.
And I keep hoping that they put out that 3-hour cut, because it did really well on Max. It actually, in terms of streaming, it did better than the Penguin series. That's what I read about it. I'm like,
really?
So people were watching it, and there's some great moments in it. The scene where Straker takes Ralphie Glick, I think that was a beautifully done shot where it's all done in shadows and profiles. And the scene where, he's the offering to Barlow, I thought was really well done. I loved the drive-in finale because it was different. In the book and in the 2004 miniseries, it was in the boarding house. In the 79, it was the Marston house. I said, let's do something different with it. It was supposed to be longer, so I do know a lot got chopped off of that. So it was supposed to be a longer ending. There was actually more that took place after the final shot of the film that's in it now. So again, I want to see this longer version of it. But I will also say that I thought that Barlow was done very well. I know they did do some CGI with him a little bit, but Alexander Ward was the person that trained everybody in terms of, he was the one on set sort of working with people to act like vampires and things like that, because he's known for playing monsters in other films. So that's what Danielle told us when we interviewed her. So he was there every day on set. So I thought that was really interesting. And like I said, he paid terrific homage to Reggie Nalder. And for me, it brought these characters back to life, because a lot of the people from the original 79 film have passed away. David Soul died at the beginning of this year, which broke my heart, and I'm still not really over.
Starsky & Hutch fan.
Yeah, but and I just, for me as a kid, he was one of my first heroes. So it's like him and Lance Kerwin are both gone. And for me, this is introducing this to a new audience. Yeah, and I think that's why I took it. I took it the way that I took it. I don't think it's perfect. There are some things about it I don't like. I think Straker was underused. I didn't think Pilo Asbeek was in it enough as that character. the thing about Susan's mom becoming the new protector of Barlow was kind of jarring a little bit at first. I do think it's funny in certain spots at the end, especially when Mark hits her with the car. I thought that was great. But like I said, there's things about it that aren't perfect, but I think that people really put their time and really put their effort into making it something good. And I think the studio betrayed them. That's my honest opinion about it.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I did not enjoy the film.
And I know there's some people that didn't.
No, I did not enjoy the film. I loved some of the vampire aspects. I loved the eyes that they do. I thought that was nice homage to the vampires. And I definitely did enjoy. You're right. I thought Jordan Preston Carter stole the movie as Mike.
Was great.
He was great. He was great. He was the only decent character for me in the film, and I understand. I don't know why they chopped this movie up, because there is no character. That's my whole problem with this film. I didn't care about any of the characters, and I'm not blaming the actors. So unfortunately, the only thing we do is, we get the beginning of the film, and then next thing you know, heads back to Salem, so Jerusalem, and then next thing you know, here come the vampires. No character development.
And it was very, very, very. That was something that I think lessened Ben Mears' character as well, because the history with the house. That was all. He's in town to write a book about the Marston house, and that was
he's in the right.
You're like, what? Huh? It's like it's like.
Yeah, and I didn't like that they changed that. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
We get no character development between him and Susan.
It's very quick.
It's very quick. Next thing you know, it's like. They meet. Next thing you know, they're screwing, and that's it. It's like, where's the character? The character development,
Where's the courting? Yeah, I mean, because I just knew that nothing was going to touch the '79 film, so I kind of just shut it off. I just said, nothing's going to touch it. That's my favorite film, so I'm going to see what they did with this.
Yeah, because to me, it's like this: you're not going to top the '79 film. And to me, I thought, and that was before I learned about how bad they edited this film and chopped off half it up. I said, wow, I actually like the remake better than this one. But if I actually
that's cool, though. There's people that really like that one because it is closer to the book.
Yeah, because did you like Rutger Hauer as Barlow?
I love Rutger Hauer. I think
I love how you're answering
this. I guess because now I'll just put this in straight. I read the book when I was 13. I saw Salem's Lot when I was 5. So I saw the movie when I was 5 years old. It scared the living shit out of me. And then I saw it again when I was like 7, and then I started really getting into it. So for me, I thought that's how Barlow was in the book. Then I read the book and I said, "Oh, it's more like Dracula." It's different. I respect it. I respected it more than I liked it. Not to say that he did a bad job. I just thought he was in a bad movie. That's just my opinion, because The Hitcher I still think is one of the scariest movies that Rutger had. Movie terrified. He could be very intimidating. He didn't intimidate me as Barlow at all.
Yeah, because to me, it's when it comes to Salem Lot, because I saw the miniseries and I was like, almost 13 or 14 when that first came out, and then later on I read the book. Yeah, I'm a baby boomer.
No, that's all right. No, I didn't think you look younger than that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I was 5 when it aired. It's still. I still remember that.
Because when I first saw, because I didn't know what Salem's Lot was, because I just start getting into Stephen King, because I know about his other books. But I didn't know he had wrote Salem's Lot, and I didn't know anything about it. And me and my brother were watching it. It was like back then. Of course, I was a huge vampire fan back then, because I was just watching all the Hammer Dracula vampire series and Christopher Lee. So anything vampire wise, I enjoyed. And I said, "Wow, this is fantastic!" And of course, I was a huge David Soul fan. And I thought that was a fantastic miniseries.
It's just and it's just the effects of it. The fact that the kids coming into the room was done in reverse. I mean, just how they did that, and you watch it, and it's just so off looking. Just the way their hands are moving, the way the smoke is going around them. It's just everything. They were on a dolly crane, and just the way that they did it was just. It's still effective. Yeah.
Because like I said, the kids look creepy looking, especially when they have the effects with the eyes. The eyes, and like I said before, it's just like, to me, there was just no character development. It's just like, let's get him into Jerusalem. Let's me, Susan. All right, let's bring the vampires in.
Yeah. And I agree. It's like they just that was like I said. There was several things about it that didn't work for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like they, again, because I have my issues with that 2004 one. This one I felt like at least it had some character. It had, I felt like the night scenes were well done. I felt like the sunset scenes were well done. I felt like it felt like the 70s. There was things about it that I warmed up to it. And the more I've watched it, the more I've liked it. Again, it's in its own thing. There's nothing that can compare to that original. And that's just how I had to go into it. Because if I compared it, I would just rip it apart. So it's like I had to I just sort of had to put it in its own thing. And I really respect.
I kind of ripped it apart.
Yeah, I'm sure I know that I got many comments telling me lots of things. Some of them I blocked because it was just harsh, racist comments towards some of the actors, and that made me angry, and I won't tolerate that. So
no,
yeah.
For me, I'm mixed bag. Oh, I'm sorry, Monty.
Yeah, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, Ben.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm sorry you didn't. Hopefully, if they put that 3-hour cut out, maybe there'll be something that you like more. Maybe you'll get more of the depth. Yeah.
Yeah, not because I know Gary Doberman. He's had some decent horror films because I think he did all the Annabelle series.
He did.
He wrote. I think he only directed the third one. He did the Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For me, it was a very mixed bag. I watched it last night. I kind of stayed away from it because I wanted to come to the table because I wanted to discuss. And I've read the book and I've seen, of course, the 1979 and the Rob Lowe. And I do agree with you because it's funny you said that because I said something similar in my review this morning. I said that I think the best people to see this new one, the 2024, is to introduce it to kids because it could be like something like it was to us and people who are a little older than us. Like that's what we grew up with. I could see this being something that these kids could grow up with, and it's problematic. I'm not gonna lie, Ben. I didn't love this movie, but I will acknowledge it has some heart. Alfre Woodard was another character. I thought though she gender swapped her, I thought she was, because it's a dude in the book, but I thought she was really, really good in it. One thing I did have a problem with was they made Ben Meyer's story a little muddled because if you've read, I'm one of those actually in the book people. Where, because his backstory, in the movie, both of his parents are killed and it was only his dad, and then we don't even mention his wife and stuff. And I'm like,
because that was a big thing too.
Confusing and a little hinkled. So I think probably the best people are people who have fresh eyes who might have not seen or read the book. I think that's the best one. And I do think it has some heart. I think you're right. The studio, for whatever, and do you know why they had to cut it to 2 hours? Because it's very obvious they did. Yeah. Why did the studio have such a hard on to do that?
So I know that there's some people that went to some of the test screenings. I know they did the test screening, and I always think, because Stephen King said he liked it, and I always wonder if Stephen King saw the 3-hour version. So I don't know. I know that there was a different ending on it, and Danielle, the woman we spoke to that plays Marjorie in it, she says that was after she was done. So she was in Massachusetts. They shot stuff there, and then they came back and did more shots, because they shot it during the pandemic. So I think they wanted to do more and they wanted to change the ending. So the drive-in thing, I think there was a version. I've heard of one ending where Ben Mears dies in it.
Oh.
So that was one that I heard about, but I haven't seen anything that, that proves that. But that was one thing I did hear about. I think the studio just didn't. They had a regime change at the studio. So when they were, so Zaslav came in after they started
again. He strikes again.
and again, it's like
the horrors of Zaslav. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it's like that's all I know is they were trying to see what I kept thinking when Last Voyage of the Demeter came out last year, which didn't do very well. I kept saying, if this movie does pretty good because it's interesting, and that movie had some issues, but I still enjoyed it. But when that movie crashed and burned, I said, "Oh, Salem's Lot's never going to come out because these." And then Abigail didn't do very well this year, despite that it was a really good movie. There's, in my opinion, I really liked it.
We
all loved it.
Yeah, it's like, but it didn't do very well.
Yeah,
so it's like I kept saying these vampire movies are not doing well. So I'm like, I think that's what the whole thing was. They didn't think they were going to get a return, even though it's Stephen King. I kept saying it was going to go the route of there was a movie called Cell. With John Cusack, and it's not a good movie at all, but it was one of my favorite Stephen King books, and I just thought the movie was a joke. But when that movie was being put together, they're like, "Oh, with the same two actors from 1408, and Sam Jackson's got John Cusack," but the way that they executed that movie was horrible. And I said, and they just sort of filmed it, then it got shelved, and then it just kind of sat in limbo, and then they threw it out on streaming, and they kind of did the same thing with Salem's Lot. But I think Salem's Lot was way more competently done with many great people involved. But I just think it's also tough. I mean, how many remakes can you do of something? It's like you've already done one. The original is still, maybe younger kids won't like it because it is slow. But I just grew up. I liked slow-paced movie. I like things that build characters. So then when you're in these big situations, then you have empathy. You're with these characters. Yeah, I truly think they should do One for the Road, which is a short story sequel that Stephen King wrote in Night Shift. That should be what they do. That would be a terrific sequel to the original miniseries, in my opinion.
Really scary, considering, especially with the little girl. Like I've read it too. So I know what
it's
you're talking about.
It's one of my favorite short stories by Stephen King. It still gives me nightmares when I think about it. It's very, very scary. And I think that what they need to do is, I prefer a sequel to a remake. And if you're going to do a remake, do something different. So that's why I said I liked the way they ended it, even though it was kind of choppy. I thought the ending was different, and that's what I wanted. I don't want to see the same thing because I already have that movie. So
yeah, that was my favorite part of it too. Was the way that they did the drive-in bit. It was incredibly unique and fit the era pretty well too, because that was an era of drive-ins. But the other thing that I like, one of the things that I enjoyed about it, it was a smaller thing, but like you started the town, they showed you all of these shots of like, bustling little town, and then as it went along, less people, tumbleweeds. It was very true. It was a nice transition. The rest of it, it had some good bits. You can see the people were trying, but I didn't know it was cut. So knowing that it's cut adds a lot of context to a lot of the stuff that was missing. It's because there was bits that were kept, and it's like, of all the stuff, why are you keeping this? And then you cram that last, like the climax, down into like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't understand the rationale behind it. And I think because Doberman left the studio and went to another studio. So it's like, I think that he kind of at one point was just like, well, I'm moving on. So I'm done. I don't know how much input he had on what they eventually threw out into the marketplace. And there have been people I've talked to that hated it initially. They've warmed up to it a little bit. I mean, and I'm not saying that people have to. I'm just saying that for me, when I first watched it, I'm like, okay, how do I feel about this thing? Let me watch it again. So I'd watch it again and go, okay, this is what is missing. This is what works. And like I said, the things that worked just really worked for me. The things that didn't work, I was able to kind of just go, well, it's because they chopped so much off of this, and that's why it doesn't work for me. So I can't fault the filmmakers for that. I have to fault the studio decision. So that's like I said, if I have all the Salem's Lots, it's like, it's like the original, nothing can touch it. It's the king of the castle. It's on the hill. Nothing can touch that. But like I said, sometimes I'm in the mood to watch this new one. But I've only watched the Rob Lowe one probably 5 times, and it came out 20 years ago. So that's how often I revisit that one. Return to Salem's Lot. I still remember being so disappoined as a 14-year-old kid watching that for the first time, thinking, "Oh, they made another Salem's Lot." The best part of that movie is the poster.
Don't talk about it as much.
The poster is the best part of that movie.
And I'm sitting here waiting. And I'm like, okay,
may he rest in peace. But I have never liked Larry Cohen because of that. Larry Cohen wrote a screenplay for the original '79 miniseries that they rejected, and I always wondered if that was his payback to them rejecting him for that movie. And I'm like going, Return to Salem. I can't. There's not one. I'll say this. I like Dan Pearl did the cinematography, who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I thought the music was kind of fun. That's about it. Everything else is just terrible.
Speaking of music, I loved Sundown in this new one. I loved
the way they used it was beautiful.
That was brilliant.
The trailer was very effective.
I love that.
Oh yeah, trailer was good.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song.
It's like Cry Little Sister. Now I will never not hear Sundown and not think of vampires.
It was brilliant in terms of using that song.
Yeah.
So for me, the film was a bit of a mixed bag, though. But there were things that really stood out to me. Like I like how in this version, like you really get to see that like the whole town is infected. The whole town is vampires, and you know when you see them out in the streets, out at
the rooftops. I think that was cool.
See that you just see like the shadow of them and then their eyes. And then you see them on the rooftops. You see them in the trees. I'm like, this is really cool. They're really surrounding them, you know. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, like you guys said, with the drive-in was something new and different, you know, as opposed to them, you know, sleeping in the coffins. They're sleeping in the trunk of the car, and then they all come out at the same time once the shadows come down. You know.
Yeah, I love that.
I like how the use of the shadow too. Like you know, as the shadows come in the air, they're coming towards the light. That was really cool.
Because you had the whole thing with the screen, and when he knocks the screen down, and you see it like it just falls, and then they all catch on fire. I thought that was was a cool really little element.
Here's a question: what did you think about the way that Barlow went out?
That was weak.
Yeah, it was very weak.
I liked that Barlow. I liked when Barlow was trying to get Mark underneath the screen, because that's where he crawled under, and you just see his hand like bursting down and trying to get him. But I just thought the shot of him pulling Mark up to him, and then you see the stake go through the back of his head. It was just like, I'm going, okay, it's okay. I mean, nothing will beat the original. So I was like going, it's different. But I thought it was a different circumstance. It was a different landscape. They could have done so much more with him. You know, they could have done so much more with him. He wasn't confined to just being in the coffin in the Marston House cellar. He was actually in this giant field, and there was just so many more things they could have done with that. So that was a component that didn't work that great for it, but I thought he looked cool. I really did think he looked cool.
I thought Barlow in general didn't work as well for me because to me, he was much more mysterious in the original and much scarier. And here he's like talking and stuff. It just didn't work for me. I'd rather have him not talking and just be this monster, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. I think Barlow's not even in like a minute's worth, or like maybe he's in like 2 minutes worth in the original. He's more like this thing that keeps saying, "And Mr. Barlow," and he's like, "Oh, I told you, you'll be meeting him." It's like in this one, it was just kind of like, exactly. It's like they did overuse the Barlow thing a little too. It was used a little too much. Yeah. But again, like I said, there was for me like the positives and the negatives. That was something that was glaring, just like Susan's mom becoming the next protector was kind of weird, because you see this one scene, and I always wonder if there was more, where Straker and her are dancing in the antique store. And it's right before Matt Burke goes up to the house. And I'm like, but that's all you see. And then Mark kills Straker, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And you're going, okay, so how did that work in terms of like, it's like, you know, did Straker didn't know he was going to die. So it's like, how did she just become Barlow's caretaker? And it all happened so quickly. I think that was something that I just thought was, again, probably down to editing.
Now, hey, you know, even an undead vampire needs love.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
Needs a booty call, you know?
Yeah.
I also thought it kind of mixed, like we got other Stephen King properties, kind of like we were kind of calling back greatest hits. Like I got a little Margaret White from her. You know what I mean? I got like a little, there were certain things like I got a very yeah, and stuff like that. And it was like, we kind of like, I don't know if they did it intentionally, but it was like, maybe they were to like, hey, it's Stephen King. Even if you don't know this particular property, you know, Derry, you know it.
Basically doing what the Dark Tower as well as Cat's Eye both did, of like, hey, look, here's other Stephen King movies. These are all more successful and more beloved than the movie you're about to watch.
Well, yeah, you actually see Christine in one of the garages. There's
I saw that. I like that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That was cool. I thought that was a cool.
That was cool. Not all bad. Like some of them were very much lovingly homages, but sometimes I thought, okay, is it so people who might not be as familiar with the properties, we might be like, oh, I know that one, that kind of thing. Because some of these characters reminded me of other Stephen King properties. Of course, you can say I love Stephen King. He's a bit tropey at times.
How many books and how many stories does he have about alcoholic writers?
No, and I'm not. That's not a dog. The man's
like the dude has a specific style and tropes, and every single storyteller has their own tropes that no matter who they are.
Yeah, but I just noticed in this movie, it was like,
and his writing. I mean, his writing can be frustrating at times, especially like I still can't finish Dreamcatcher. I've tried.
Oh, you don't want to
because it's like flashback after flashback and flashback, and I'm like, it's just okay. Enough with the flashback.
I like Dreamcatcher. I thought it was funny.
It's like, I need to try it again. It's
shit
just
weasels. 2 words. 1 word.
No, the movie. I'm one of the people that like the movie. It's
we call it the Ripley. I mean, come on, now. How can you not like Morgan Freeman?
Cool, yeah.
How can you not like Morgan Freeman with those bushy eyebrows?
Oh yeah, his eyebrows went like this. Yeah, I remember.
But speaking of the lack of character development, what about the guy that runs the antique shop?
Straker.
He had like a different type of take on the character, which I was kind of invested in at first, and then they just suddenly just kill him off. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we don't get enough of him. That's the whole problem.
That's why I'm wondering if I'm sure that he's in it more. They had because from my understanding, the movie. That's one thing I will say. I thought the opening credits was really cool, but the way the movie starts was I'm like going. I feel like we came into the middle of it because it was kind of like he was having the crate delivered, and I'm like going, okay, that's like 30 minutes into the movie usually. And it was just that's where it started because the original opening was Ben Mears flashing back to his experience in the Marston house. Yeah. And I feel like right there you add more mystique, the whole thing with Hubie Marston, which is talked about in the other films, and you see it a little bit in the Rob Lowe one, but in the original it's just Ben talking to Jason Burke, which you didn't need to see it because that speech or that monologue he gives is so great. But in this one, I feel like that took away from, like, what is the whole motive for Ben even being in town? I mean,
exactly.
And he's standing there looking at the house, and I'm like, well, why is he looking at the house? He says he doesn't know what to write about. He's like, I've always written about other people. I'm trying to write something about myself, and I'm like, going, okay, I can kind of see that, but what made that other film, and even to a point, I guess the 2004 miniseries, is that's what he was writing about. That house, and why was he drawn to that house? It was a house that was evil people were drawn to that house. Why was Ben Mears drawn to it? So that's something that it was completely lost in this movie. So that was like my biggest things were like his motivation, the house, and just the way that it was kind of, again, you like, oh hi, I'm in town here, vampires. It was like no, it was like there was no character development.
Yeah. And also our priest, there was some, especially considering if you've read the book, you know what happened to his character, and it's a little different.
But I think that did happen. If you look at him afterwards, he does have blood right here. So I'm like, again, did they cut that scene out?
Yeah.
And the whole thing with William Sadler being in it just wasn't. No. What were we saying?
I'm sorry. I just think you get I got a little confused with it because I'm like, okay, are we doing something with it? Or are we just going to cut it out and do our different thing? And again, I'm okay with doing different things, but I was very confused in a few places. But again, I was going back. I'm too much of a book person. I'm like, okay, this is what, so maybe that was my problem.
Because that is a big character, and even with the 79 miniseries, a lot of people said, well, Father Callahan's kind of wasted because he's a bigger part. He's in the Dark Tower. There's so much more with that character. And I said, well, I feel like Cromwell, like I said, with my reservations about the 2004 when Cromwell did it well, and that's kind of what they established. That does happen in that miniseries. And I said, well, what are they going to do with this one? And I just felt like, again, Father Callahan was just kind of wasted. Same thing with Parkins Gillespie. I thought William Sadler he's a great actor, and he's been in some great Stephen King adaptations. He was in all the Darabont ones. He was in The Mist and Shawshank. And I'm like, oh, that's a great actor to get in here. Yeah. And Green Mile. And I'm like going, he was pointless as Parkins Gillespie. I didn't even like him in the role. I was like going, he's just the sheriff saying, oh, don't cause any trouble. I don't like to work. And I'm like going, okay. It's like Kenneth McMillan was so great in the original. I'm like going, yeah, just like I said, there's things about it. If I pick it apart, I can, but I guess I come back to the fact that I just think I want to see the full version to really say whether it works or doesn't work.
Yeah,
release
the
Darwin cut. Release the Darwin cut.
Yeah, no, it's like somebody said I should try to get that released. I'm like, yeah, I have so much pull with Warner Brothers.
Release the director's cut.
Yeah, I know. So they should, though. I mean, it was actually a success on, it came out at Halloween time on Max and did really well. So it's like, why don't you show us release it on Blu-ray and put the director's cut on it?
Yeah, definitely.
They did that with Dr. Sleep. The director's cut of I love Dr. Sleep, but that director's cut, which is 3 hours long, is the definitive cut of that film. I think it's the brilliant film.
Rose the Hat. Can't get enough of her.
Oh yeah, she's amazing. She's scary and beautiful, and she's Rebecca Ferguson's so good in that role.
I have yet to see it, believe it or not.
You've never seen?
You haven't seen Dr. Sleep?
Well,
great.
You got to see that. You got to see that one.
Mike Flanagan, and he's got that Life of Chuck that's coming out. I'm really curious. That's another Stephen King movie he's doing.
Yeah,
so I'm really curious to see that, and Tom Hiddleston's in it, so should be good.
No, I haven't read that one yet, so I'm a little behind on that one.
I think that's in the
book. I think you'd really enjoy it, Jen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'll give it a shot then. I've need to catch up.
Yeah, I'm behind on King's newer quote unquote stuff as well. So.
Yeah. And then we're getting Osgood Perkins with the monkey.
The monkey,
yeah. I have read because it's in the Skeleton Crew. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I heard that's going to be off the wall too.
I would imagine.
All right, guys, let's get into it now. What we're going to talk. What are some of the worst horror movies of 2024? Okay, let's start with Monty G.
Let's just open this can of worms.
Yeah, it's time to open up some of the worst horror films I saw during 2024.
Stinkers.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with something that everyone thought was a sequel to The Pope's Exorcist, and this one was
I heard about this one.
The Exorcist.
That's what I was hoping.
I didn't see it.
I
saw The Pope's Exorcist, but I didn't see this other one.
Now,
that was funny.
As much as I love Russell Crowe, and I thought, despite some of the crap some people said about The Pope's Exorcist, I really did enjoy that film. Yes, it's some of the same stuff that we've seen before in Exorcist Possessions films, but I love Russell Crowe in that film. I thought he did a great job. I thought the guy who voiced the demon, I think it's Ralph Ennis, if I pronounce his name. I think he did. Yeah, he was fantastic as playing as a demon in that one. They had a great back and forth. I thought they had a great back and forth. And for him to come back and make this crappy ass movie called The Exorcism, it's just terrible. First of all, why the hell was this movie made? So Ben, why was this movie made? His idea was to make another movie, and it's just nothing.
Isn't he like an actor that gets possessed in a movie set or something like that? That's what it
is. He plays this washed up actor he takes over the role of another actor who got killed in this possession exorcist film. And then he gets possessed in the film. There's this one scene where he really, I think you've seen their trailers, so not spoiling anything. He's banging his head into the whatchamacallit, and then of course we got the cracking and breaking the back scene right there, and it's just a horrible exorcism film, and it's just sad. He obviously decided to get a paycheck for it.
Oh yeah,
for it, but yeah, the movie. Oh boy. I mean, when it comes to, it's bad enough that we have plenty of bad possession exorcist horror films that we have. Bad enough with the Exorcist Believer that came out last year, and then we have this crap.
Oh yeah, that movie exists.
Mike Flanagan's gonna fix it.
By sweeping it under the rug.
So one of the worst horror films, The Exorcism.
Jen and Velvet, I know you're frothing at the mouth.
Here's all 10 that I hated.
Okay, now I generally like with the best. I'm trying to uncover hidden gems, but there's one, and I'm gonna be a real basic bitch with this one. But oh my god, I hated this movie. I hated this movie. I hated M. Night Shyamalan's The Trap because it was a movie.
Thank you.
And watching it. And I was like, it can't get any, and I don't like this word. I don't like this word, but I can't think of a better word. Like, it can't get any dumber, right? Like this, we can't get any dumber. And then, like, a few minutes later, boom, we hit a new level of it just melted my mind. And I was like, I felt like I was going crazy. What the hell is going on, man?
And then he's in full tactical gear in a car, and then magically he's in a hoodie in the next scene, like 5 seconds later.
And then if you've seen the movie, that pie scene, because he's supposed to be smarter than everyone in the room, right? He would have never fallen for that fucking pie scene, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" My God, why?
I'm usually an apologist for some of his movies, and I love Josh Hartnett, so it's like
I did too. Now he was.
My wife and I thought it would be good, and when we went and saw it, I'm like,
he's the only good thing about that film. It seems like for some reason M. Night Shyamalan just wanted to promote his daughter singing,
basically, which shows he's a good dad.
And it's basically that's what this is. I mean, unlike with Smile 2, where Naomi Scott, that's her character, and Naomi Scott, she can sing, but they do a good job. But the movie is about her character, not about her singing. But in this film, Trap, this is more about him trying to get his daughter to become a pop star. But
I just felt like it didn't have any edge to it. I felt like, everything that you saw, I felt like the thing that ruined it for me is when they took it out of the concert hall. Because the whole thing was like interesting. I'm like, okay, this is great. But then when he was outsmarting like the SWAT team, and I'm like going, oh, come on. I'm like going, he's not, I mean, like he could be smart, but there's got to be some people that are like, they're trained for this kind of stuff. The whole thing is a ploy to get him there. So it's like, I don't know. Like I said, it just, and I've liked a lot of his films, but like the last few, like Old was another one that I didn't like that he did. And this was one where I'm just like going, this is a really good idea that is executed very poorly because there's no tension.
I was vibing with the movie too, like at the beginning.
Yeah, it's a good, solid start, and then it just devolves into some of the most shocking and incompetent filmmaking I've seen from the director.
It's like they didn't know how to end the film. It's just like
it kept going on and on.
It's like, wait a minute, you got to end this film. This guy's not that smart. It even got to the point where
endings than Return of the King. What the fuck?
I was gonna say, if you've ever seen MST3K, there's one of the characters, Tom Servo, in one of the movies is just yelling "end" at the damn screen because that last like 35 minutes felt like an hour and a half.
I'm like, it got to the point where you know what? Bring in the BAU from the Criminal Minds. They can catch this guy.
Jesus fucking Christ. No.
I still think this is Jamie Lee Curtis's. If she would have acknowledged Josh Hartnett in the Halloween movies, he wouldn't have grown up to be a serial killer. I stand by that.
Oh, that's funny. That's heck of funny.
Oh man, but that's the whole. Josh Hartnett was great, but the whole. Oh man,
he's great.
And his daughter was good. The little girl that played his daughter.
Yeah, they had a good rapport. I thought they were really believable. Yeah.
They too.
Mm-hmm.
But it just was like too many coincidences. Like there was too many things that just like I'm like, oh, that's a convenience. That's a convenience right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a convenience right there. And I'm like going, this is just it just got to the point where he kept leaving. He kept leaving her there, and I'm like going, oh come, it's so obvious that you're the killer.
Years. Like I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, but you seem cool.
You seem like a good.
Okay. Plus a free T-shirt. No one is getting a free damn T-shirt.
I will say though, I did kind of love the post-credit scene with him though. That wasn't really that was the only part of the ending that worked. But No. Also, can I just say, like, granted, I haven't watched Watchers yet, but I've consistently heard the same thing over and over again about Watchers. I find it so fascinating that the worst movies this year were both spawned because of M. Night Shyamalan's children's nepotism. I think that's fascinating.
Oh yeah, that was definitely nepotism of Watchers. Good idea though.
It was a good idea. I just didn't really care for the execution of it. It was one that I just was like.
It's like, okay, all right, I'm still waiting. Waiting. Okay, I'm still. Oh, okay, that was okay.
Yeah, it's just an interesting idea, and I think it was beautifully shot. But it just in terms of very hollow story, and it was just like I'm going, really? That's where they're going with this? It's just it's again like the last time was the Knock at the Cabin. I absolutely hated that movie. I absolutely and I loved it. And I love Dave Bautista in it. Don't get me wrong. He made the movie. But everything else about that movie, I was just like going, this is just dumb.
It's like you said the book. That's what really made me angry because he changes so much. And like what's so poinient about the book.
I know.
Yeah, it makes me angry.
The movie
I know that's what a lot of people are saying. That
I've never read the book.
Because I never read the book either, but I heard a lot of people complaining that he took some liberties and he definitely made some changes as far as how the movie ends in the book.
Yeah,
rainbows and sunshines, and that ain't how the book ends.
No.
Well, God, look at what he did to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
We don't talk about that movie.
Well, that's a movie we do talk about that's bad for you.
I didn't see after the Will Smith one, After Earth. I didn't see that. Wasn't that what it was called? After Earth? I never saw that one either. Never saw that one either.
Put it this way, Ben. If you're a fan of the anime series, you would want to kill him.
That's why I heard that. I heard a lot of people that love that series say it's like bastardized it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You want to talk about whitewashing? I mean that's one of the big problems with his last Airbender. It's like what?
Mm-hmm.
Those are Asian characters. Why can't you get Asian actors to play these roles?
That makes no sense.
Characters, yeah. What the fuck? What the fuck are you going on about? Why are these all white people? What the fuck? And why did you take the characters that were modeled off imperialist Japan and made them Indian for some reason? What?
Yeah, it was like going. There's a
difference.
I think they were Indian people.
It's like you already ruined the film for the fans of the anime by not casting Asian characters in the lead roles. It's like that's dumb.
Yeah.
You mean people noticed? Oh my god!
Oh my god! Getting away from Shyamalan for a minute. I'll just say,
don't you do it! Don't you fucking do it!
No, it's not that one. I don't have nothing.
Do it.
I belch you.
Jesus.
I love that movie, Sparky.
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
So this was an interesting year for AI horror movies.
Oh,
I think I know where you're going.
I already know where you're going with it.
We got a big old boost after like Megan and stuff, and we had the questionable Afraid, but not gonna lie, that's another one of those movies that, God, with how weird of a fucking ending it has, I kind of respect it. And then there's the other half, which is Megan Fox's Subservience.
Yes. She's so pretty.
This movie is trash.
I've heard people say it's good. I've never seen it, but I've heard.
I'll just say this: that movie only exists to see two attractive people screw.
Yes, it does.
That's a lot of movies, Monty.
I'm sorry. The sheer irony of a movie about like the horrors and the dangers of AI and artificial intelligence and everything, taking jobs from people and removing and stripping people of their creativity. The irony of a movie about that feels like you ran the script of Hand That Rocks the Cradle and like 19 other generic 90s erotic thrillers through ChatGPT and a little bit of Make It in there. And that's just the movie you got is fucking hilarious to me. This is one of the most generic and bland fucking films I've seen in a long goddamn time. It almost doubles as a remake of Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It is beat.
That's what I've heard.
Even down to the little girl from Hand That Rocks the Cradle being being the wife.
She's in it. Yeah, she's in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is so blatantly obvious that it's very much just like, okay, let's just do a bad 90s erotic thriller and throw some robot AI Megan Fox in there because Megan was popular. And hey, Megan Fox, people like Megan Fox again.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah. So like that's just this movie. I was something about this movie. I just was so not here for this movie's bullshit. Like, yes, Afraid has way more problems than this might, but it at least took risks and had ideas. You can argue about how well those ideas paid off, but I'll at least take that over something like this that just is so soulless and just so let's just crank out a movie because Megan was popular and all that stuff, and we can, like Monty said, we can have two as attractive people screw in the scene, and that'll be pretty much the whole point of the movie.
Not just attractive. Megan Fox is one of the most beautiful women ever.
Also, just fucking the fact of like our main character in this movie, the dad, is one of the most unlikable main characters I have seen in a long time in a horror movie. Like, he's the fact unlikable. Does not end with him dying. It ends up with us redeeming him and acting like he was just like going through a rough patch and he's all around an okay dude. I'm like, no, you're a piece of shit, dude. Fuck you. She should not take you back. Fuck this guy. Fuck you guys.
It's like you guys are really selling this one.
He's also just a piece of shit for a lot of other reasons.
So you're telling me I need to go see this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. You should.
I need to see this piece of crap.
It sucks. This was a year where like most of the movies I saw, even the ones I didn't like that much, I didn't have that much of an opinion one way or the other, negative or positive for them. They just kind of existed and were there. This is one of like three that I'm like, oh wow, no, this is a piece of shit movie. I do not like anything about this movie.
And the third act, you get. And then for some reason,
same director as what was that one movie with her in it?
Till Death, yeah.
Which also starred Megan Fox, and I liked that movie.
Yeah,
I
like that too. Yeah,
the directing was good in that movie. I don't know what.
I wanted to watch that one.
But holy shit, the same creative team really fumbled the ball here. And as much as I will defend Megan Fox to a point, man, she gives a bad fucking performance here. She does not care whatsoever about this role. This is a paycheck movie for her.
I still need to see it.
Yeah, and then the third act, it just takes elements from Terminator.
Really?
Terminator, Megan, yeah.
Well, it's funny, the whole Hand That Rocks the Cradle, you did hear them remaking it, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Oh, God, that's right, they are.
Oh, no.
Like,
come on.
Why? It still could be relevant. It's such a good movie. I love it.
I love the movie.
Yeah.
They remake everything.
I know, but I'm getting to the point of I'm like going, okay, how many times can you remake something? It's like, you've
infinite.
Like you said, this movie sounds like it does have, even though it has a science fiction kind of, or just like like the whole thing about just AI kind of thing to it with Hand That Rocks the Cradle. So you've already kind of done it. Now you're just going to remake the original movie again. I mean, it's just again, that's what I'm getting kind of. I'm just getting old. I'm getting tired of seeing the same things over and over again.
Look at Disney. Look at Disney with their live action remakes of their classic anime.
I don't get them at all. I don't want to see a live action Lion King. I don't want to see a live action Mulan. I'll watch the cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, trust me. After the Snow White trailer, they're going to finally stop. They need to stop.
Well, Rachel Ziegler is already on everybody's hit list, so I'm sure that movie's going to go off pretty badly.
Oh yeah,
it's screwed even if it's good.
Yeah, it's like, and I think that just going to that, because we were talking about it earlier, is like at least they're trying something different with it instead of just doing the same thing, as the cartoon. But I still don't want to see it. I'm like, why would I want to watch this? I just would rather watch the classic Disney cartoon.
I know. I'd rather just watch the classic whatchamacallit. I mean, the only thing I would want to see, because Gal Gadot actually, she looks better than Rachel Ziegler.
Because she's awesome, and I love Gal. She's awesome.
At least it's cool to see her in like the villainous role.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that good. I thought she looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Trivial Theater, what do you got for us? What's one of your picks for the worst of
What's some bullshit you saw?
So everything that I did on the positive side was a little bit more low budget. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go for a big budget remake that just leaves me scratching my head wide. The Crow.
Oh,
Jen, I know that you want to get with our lovely lead, Mr. Skarsgård, and he's a sexy bitch, but that does not change the fact that this movie was absolutely.
It's not a good movie. I'm with you.
Now,
Jen is one of the few people who love The Crow.
There are redeeming points to this movie, and like I said, Monty, I can find good in damn near anything. Mm-hmm. The fact that we get to see The Crow kind of, or Eric, kind of like have to work his way into the role, like he doesn't have the powers off the bat. The fact he gets run over by a freaking truck and has to figure out, oh, well, maybe I need to do something else. I appreciated that. And, the Opera House scene was crazy and awesome and bloody and gory, and I'm always a fan of that. But the rest of that damn movie, there was less chemistry between those two.
Thank you. Thank you. Horrible.
Going on a long-term drug bender does not love make. I'm sorry.
I was crying like every time I watch.
You know what? And that's awesome that you found that you enjoyed that. I am happy that you were able to find the good in that entire movie. Yeah. But I cannot get behind that damn movie. There was no atmosphere. I did not give one singular solitary shit about the romance, about any of the people killed. As cool as the kills were. I know, and I'm sorry. I do love you, but I have to tell my truth. And right now, my truth is that the remake of The Crow is hot flaming garbage.
Yeah.
Oh man, you were worse than I was.
I didn't see it.
Oh man.
I would rather be stuck in the trap universe for the next year.
I feel like I'm sitting here. Has the world gone mad?
Yes, it has. Have you seen the world right now?
Oh man.
That is my rant for the evening, folks. Good night.
You crushed me, Trev. No. I get it. Most people
I know.
I'm sorry.
And I was kind in my review.
Yeah. The thing is, it did have redeeming stuff. There was some good stuff. Like, you know what? Bill Skarsgård did what he could. Bill Skarsgård did what he could.
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
To bring it around, and he acted his damn pants off. Which I know you would have liked to have seen more of.
I wish you could say the same about
you know what?
Damn it! No!
She was
Sharpie tattoos are not a fashion statement. Anybody needs.
Wow.
And it's like this. I got nothing against what's her name? FKA Twigs.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure she's a good singer. She can't act.
Nope.
Cannot act. Nope. Sorry, Jen.
Yeah,
I know that's the whole aspect of that film is the relationship between Eric and whatchamacallem. And when you don't have
the world is going to prove me right. Time is going to prove me right.
Okay, it very well could.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Never know.
I mean, that's the whole basis between the relationship in Eric and Shelley. And unfortunately, when you don't have the chemistry that you need, that's the whole plot of the film, and that's what fell for me. Like I said, Eric, he did a fine job of what he could. It's not his fault that he had a terrible script.
Yeah, the Skarsgård is good. The problem this movie really kind of falls to me, like, on top of everything else, is just like, and I was saying this before the movie came out, and I stand fucking by it. It's unnecessary. I don't see the point in doing it. Why did you have to do Eric and Shelley's story? You have so much source material with the Crow comics that have so much great stuff you could have done, or you could have just gone and done your own original story too. You didn't have to do Eric and Shelley. You could have still just called the movie The Crow for the brand recognition, but you didn't have to remake one of the most beloved films of the 90s that you were automatically going to be compared to ad nauseum, and just ultimately going to fail. It was set out to fail.
I understand that, but you see, for me, and I'm not trying to be a contrarian, guys, and like I'm a 90s girl. I grew up, and like all my friends, this was one of their all-time, and they all thought, well, Jen's a kind of a gothy girl. She loves horror. This has got to be, no, I and it's no disrespect, I know people love the original Crow. I was never that big on it. It was fine. There were things pretty much Michael Wilcox was the big thing for me, like the villain in that. And no disrespect to anybody, I'm not trying to be a hater, and one of my biggest problems with the original Crow is I feel the way y'all feel. I didn't care about their relationship. This fixed it for me, and I don't know why, but I just cared more about this couple than I ever. You didn't get much time with them,
but you didn't need the time with them because you had the raw emotion from Lee's performance. You didn't need a bunch of. Because that's the problem with this movie is we get that 40+ minutes of time of Eric and Shelley, and I don't give a fuck about it. That's the worst part of the movie right there. I don't give a fuck about these two. I just wanted to get to the point, chuck that bitch out a window, and call it dead.
Oh God!
Wow.
With the flowers and
chucking him out a window.
Velvet, your mom may be changing the will.
Yeah, it's all going to Jake.
Cool.
No, and I'm not. I hope I'm not coming across as a hater.
I understand.
No,
no, you have a right to feel.
No, you like what you like. I mean, there's
if it's booked you, then that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah,
I
appreciate the fact that you were able to find something that I could not be able to find in the film. So.
Movies that I like that people hate.
I think sometimes people say they hate stuff just because that's like cooler than saying.
Absolutely.
And that's not me. Like, and I've always, this. I've never been a particularly big fan.
I know this. Yeah.
And stuff, but I don't hate it. There's some really great things about the original, but for me, it was always more Michael Wilcox. Like the couple, I was like, no, Ernie Hudson and Michael Wilcox were and Brandon Lee gave a great performance. It just didn't work for me. So everyone unsubscribe.
Not in the slightest, and it's. There's nothing wrong with that. It didn't. I really wanted to like it, and maybe that was half my issue. Is I put too hard of expectations on it.
No, I just wanted to be just good or okay. That's what I really wanted it to be because I know it was because I was not trying to compare it to the 1990 of. We're trying to compare it to the Brandon Lee one because that's what I try to do when it comes to remakes, especially remakes.
He doesn't have your physique, darling. He doesn't. No one does.
Well, he'll be Nosferatu, and you get to see him in that soon.
I know.
Yes.
Sweet.
Apparently, he has a very large dong as well.
He calls it Pennywise. He's great in Barbarian. I like to.
Yes.
Oh God, he's really great in Barbarian.
Yeah. That's where I discovered. Oh my God, I noticed he. I was like, he was really good looking under that clown makeup. But it's a scene in Barbarian when he's doing the sheet. It's a really sweet scene where they're
where he wraps it. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's when I was like, Cupid.
That was the moment where you suddenly like Dreamweaver starts playing in the background.
I was like, oh my God, I love him. Yeah. Not as much as the trash.
That's a great movie, Barbarian.
Yeah. So. Barbarian's great. Yeah,
it is, and it's funny.
Yes.
Now, speaking of another gothic tone film, there's a certain Legacy sequel that came out this year that I went to the movies to see, and I was actually pretty excited about it, and that is Beetlejuice. And that's my pick for worst.
You weren't a fan of it?
No. I was not. I thought the story was really dumb. And I love the style of the original movie. I wasn't like necessarily a huge fan of it, but I always loved Tim Burton's style in that film. I thought he had a great gothic tone in there. And yeah, I loved Michael Keaton's performance in the original, but I felt like it was kind of lackluster in this. I feel like he didn't give it his all. I felt he was very restrained in this one compared to the original. And I didn't care for Winona Ryder as much in this one, and I did think Jenna Ortega was very good, so she kind of carried the movie. I liked her a lot. Outside of that, I didn't care much for it, honestly.
Yeah, my problem with Beetlejuice is just too many subplots.
Yes,
too many subplots going on. The relationship
like stuff about the father,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, too many subplots going on.
An empire with the one relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. It's. I was like, okay, we've seen this.
And they made the. For me, they made the big mistake trying to copy the Deo scene.
Oh, with the MacArthur Park.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like, come on, guys. It's like, that's a great scene. Why are you trying to recreate it? And I didn't mind the song that they used to recreate the Dale scene. It just didn't fit.
It went on too long. And went on
and it extended the film.
Song too,
it's a long song, so the film lasted. So the ending was about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah, I agree.
Catherine O'Hara was a delight, but I've always been a fan of her.
Who doesn't love her?
Yeah, she was okay, but again, too many subplots.
Where was Gina Davis? Why wasn't she in it?
The rumor is that I think she said at a con that they aged. It's like everybody they were ghosts, so it's like they can't they can't have them looking 36 years older than they were in the first one. So, and I think that's why they just had the line where they said they moved on.
They moved on, that's why I said this. You can't have them come and be as old as they are now. That wouldn't make any sense because they're supposed to be ghosts.
I love the movie. It's like it was fun.
Problematic as well.
You don't really have one out of the things.
Because the so-called Beetlejuice's wife subplot that didn't make any sense. Winona Ryder's character and her husband, that didn't make any sense to me. I didn't mind Michael Keaton's performance. I thought he did a good job.
I think it's like I'll use my Salem's Lot scenario. Nothing can touch the original Beetlejuice. So it's like I had to just go into this going, okay, we're gonna have the same style. 36 years later, we're going to bring a lot of the characters back, and I had fun. I saw it twice, and I had fun with it. So it's like, I can't compare it to the first one.
Yeah, because I enjoyed Beetlejuice, but I'm not a huge fan of the movie. I just thought it was
I'm a huge fan of it. So it's like it's my favorite Tim Burton movie next to Nightmare Before Christmas, even though Henry Selick directed that.
Yeah, I was going to say Henry Selick.
But it's still Tim Burton's characters and everything. Yeah, so.
No, I actually did enjoy the Soul. I actually did enjoy the Soul Train scenes. I actually thought it. I liked the set piece. I thought it was funny. My favorite Tim Burton film is always going to be Sleepy Hollow.
That's next one for me. It's like Beetlejuice, and then in terms of the ones he directed, then Sleepy Hollow.
Planet of the Apes.
No,
no. I'm serious.
Yes, we know.
Thank God they rated that with the new series. They're really good, actually. How about you, Boogeymen Ben?
Trap was the big one for me. The other one I'll talk about, and I just felt like it frustrated me. I didn't absolutely hate it. Actually, there's things about it I appreciated. But The Strangers Chapter 1, I don't know if people saw that one. And again, I'm not going into it like let's rip it apart, but my whole thing is that I really liked Pray at Night, the second one, because I love the 80s feel to that one, and I just felt like it was a faster pace. I love the original. The original is really good. It's scary. But the second one just had so many great homages to like Christine and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Fog, and there was just like little things, and I just really loved that movie. And when I found out that they're saying, okay, we're going to do a new trilogy, we're going to do a trilogy, and we're going to do the first movie again, and when and I'm like going, but the first one is so good, and I feel like I like the fact that the director of the second film did something a little different and didn't try to emulate everything that came with that first one, because you can't do it again.
And then we're going backwards.
And when you go with Chapter 1, it's like you're seeing the same movie, and again, it ends differently. It ends because they did make 3 of them. But I just felt like I almost wish they would have just started from the second movie they're going to put out instead of doing this sort of weak retelling of the first one. It just doesn't have the impact. It's all kind of cliche with some of the characters that are kind of like, oh, is that going to be the killer? Is that one of the strangers? Is that, like I said, there was just little things in it that I just felt like it was unnecessary to do. And I love Rennie Harlan. Rennie Harlan's done some of my favorite movies, but
that's why I'm surprised at how bad this movie was.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've only seen it once. I gave it I rate as of rating the three of them, it's my least favorite. There was a couple of things I liked about it, but I knew it was predictable. I knew it was going to happen. There was like a couple of moments where I was shocked, but very few. But for the most part, I knew how it was going to end. I knew it was going to kind of be, you're pretty much seeing it in the trailer. It's the same ending as the first one. You were here kind of thing. That's why they did this. And I know they're going to get into more as they do the next two, I assume. But why retell it when it's still so new? The original is still so well loved and new. I don't know. It's like, again, I think it was just a waste of time a little bit. And that's what I thought, I could say that about the Pet Sematary remake. Yeah. There's things about it that I think are okay. But did it do anything new? Did it reinvent anything? Did it bring something new to the table? Did they try something new that I said, oh, that's really no, they changed which kid got killed. That's pretty much the only thing they did, and they blew that in the trailer. So it's like you're going, the Mary Lambert film works, and I think the original Strangers is so good still. It still gets you in the end. That's still I think one of the most jarring endings to a film. So why redo it? Why not just pick up from where that left off? There's a new group of strangers, copycats. You could do anything. Just retelling the original one, I thought it was a waste of time. So that, if I have to be honest, that's probably the one this year that I can think of where there's elements of it I liked, but for the most part, I thought it was a waste of time.
Yeah. Especially considering we have not heard shit about those other two movies.
Actually, the next one's supposed to come out.
The trailer did come out for the next one.
Yeah, the teaser trailer came out. Yeah.
Okay, never mind then.
No, that's all right. It was very I didn't see it advertised very much, but I did see it. Yeah. I think they're still going to release it, even which is surprising. Well, this one did really well. So it's this new one did good, and they got the next one was supposed to come out. I thought it was supposed to come out this year, and then the third one was going to come out next year.
They were going to do a Fear Street thing was what I was originally hearing.
I know, yes, what I heard.
They're all done. I know that. They filmed them all.
Yeah, that's what I heard originally. That's why I assumed they shelved the other two for the time being, because they were all supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, but when you see an actor like Richard Brake in it, you're going, okay, well, he's obviously going to be a big part in the next one. I'm going, he's a well-known horror actor. It's like he's obviously going to be in the second one more.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching the movie.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the only scene yet.
Then he never shows up.
He's in the diner. It's like he's in the diner. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like he never shows up again for this movie. I'm like, why did you? All right, trilogy. Unnecessary.
It's again, I just felt like it was unnecessary to remake that one until it's the same story we already know, and it's just like we've seen it. It worked. It's like, I don't know. It's like I said, make it between Pray at Night and the first one, because pretty much what happens to them at Pray at Night. They pretty much all get killed. So it's like So it's like I don't know. Again, it's the same problem I have with some other franchises where I'm just like, where they go, oh, just ignore these three films. We're just going to start. This is a sequel to this film. And I'm like going, that's lazy.
That's a lot of movies this time and age.
I know. It's just that they started that the Halloween franchise is the worst with it, because they started that with age 20, where they're like, oh yeah, 4, 5, and 6 didn't happen. This is just a sequel to Halloween 2. And I'm like going, really? You couldn't come up with a way to,
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
me sitting here being a Chainsaw fan where every movie is.
Oh God. Yeah.
I love some of those movies.
Oh, I do too.
I do too.
Lovingly, but every Chainsaw continuity is loose to say the least.
Oh yeah.
Even the two that Hooper did are very kind of, you're like, wow, this is. I mean, I guess that's the two, that and the beginning and the remake are like the ones that do have the most continuity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then every other movie is a sequel directly to the first film.
We're starting it over, new family, same Leatherface.
But his Leatherface continues to look quite good for its age.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The one constant.
No doubt. Gotta love that.
At least we know Leatherface is in it. If we start doing Texas Chainsaws without
Chop Top, it's just Chop Top this time.
I would watch a Chop Top movie.
Only if it's Bill Mosley.
Oh yeah, but fuck it, I'd watch Chop Top.
Just gonna start doing movies
the Hitchhiker's origin story.
I want to know about how they got the wheelchair.
Oh yeah.
We need a whole trilogy about that. We need a whole trilogy. About
Absolutely.
God.
Get it, Grandpa.
All right, guys. So, with that being said, I'd like to hear some of your thoughts about some of the films you are looking forward to most in 2025. Trivial Theater.
Oh crap! I did not study up on that. Do you mind if I go in a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Monty G.
Yeah, start with money.
I am looking forward for a Michael B. Jordan Sinners.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Vampire.
so ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm so here for that
It
movie.
looks so good.
Yeah, I know. Yes, can't wait to see that one. Yes, definitely looking forward to Sinners. There's some other horror movies I know that are coming out next year, but definitely looking forward to Sinners. And of course, I think I just did a trailer actions called The Gorge. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, I did hear about that one. I haven't seen that. There's a trailer up for that one. I think.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the trailer yet.
Yeah, I just did a trailer reaction for The Gorge because that just came out, and I was like, "Wow, this looks interesting." Yeah, you got Anna Taylor-Joy and Tyler Wheeler. They're playing They're playing snipers, and they have to just one's on the east, one's on the west, and they have to guard this gorge. And there's monsters inside of it.
Ooh,
oh wow! Okay, I gotta watch that trailer now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say one that I know Velvet is definitely not looking forward to, and that's Thanksgiving 2.
Oh, I'm really I like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Velvet did not like Thanksgiving.
I think I remember the review, and Velvet did not like Thanksgiving.
I like Thanksgiving less as time goes on. I like that movie less and less.
To be fair, I did want the trailer version of Thanksgiving more than the one we got. But I do like. I mean, I have fun with that movie just because it's again. I'm not the biggest Eli Roth fan. I actually like Knock Knock, and a lot of people don't like that movie at all.
Knock Knock's fun, actually. Yeah.
But I really like things. It's just Patrick Dempsey. I'm a huge fan of him. So it's like you know, there's things about it I have fun with. I mean, it's not perfect, but for me, it was just enough fun, and it was a great theater experience. Even though the audience I saw it with was kind of weird. They didn't. It's like I was like, oh, that's awesome, and people were just like, you know, kind of like that. It's like kind of very quiet and reserved. I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be a slasher movie.
You're not a fan of Green Inferno?
That's why I loved it. It's just straight up slasher, no more, no less, and that's what I love about it.
That dumpster scene where he hits her with the car is still, I think, one of the best.
You're not a fan of the Green Inferno, Ben?
I appreciate it. I guess because I've watched it a couple more times. It's a lot of unlikable characters, and I think that's again what it comes down to. I have to really be invested. And with Knock Knock, you know, yes, what Keanu Reeves' character does is wrong, but at the same time, I'm like going, did he really have to get tortured that much? I mean, it was like I just felt so bad for him through it. There was something likable about him, and it's like, but
Knock Knock was a weird film because I didn't like any of the characters.
It's I know where the Death Game is a Colleen Camp, and she has a small part in Knock Knock. But
I know. I hated Green Inferno. Really bad.
I just didn't like any of the people, and they all just seemed like so like full of themselves, and they were like, you know, just so when things start happening to them, I was just like going, well, they're kind of not really good people. It's like, you know, it's like enough
Holocaust.
That was my thing with fucking Thanksgiving is I hated its cast of characters.
They didn't bother me.
I hated most of them.
I hated I think his name was Fletcher, the one that sort of instigates the whole thing where he gets into the place and he has the phone and he's recording everything.
Yeah.
I was so glad when he got his head caved in. That was so great. But I liked Scuba. I thought Scuba was funny. he was his friend.
If I remember right, they were also like one of the few characters I liked, actually, if I remember right.
Yeah, and I liked the main actor. She was pretty cool. But there was a lot of characters that you didn't like. Again, it was for me. It's like watching, you know, some of these just slasher movies where you're like, oh, I can't stand that person. I can't wait till they get killed. And so it's like it was one of those.
Right.
They some people bring joy by coming into our lives. Other ones bring joy by being slashered to death.
Yeah, that's true.
Usually it's the latter.
Yeah.
I liked how they created some scenes too from the trailer, like the parade scene. With
where he gets the head chopped off the turkey mascot. Yeah.
I like how he switched outfits too. He was the evil clown and the.
No, like I said, and I like I like when he uses the cork to take the blood out of the girl's neck, and he's like, "You want to let that breathe." Like there was just like little things like that I thought was kind of clever.
Right.
Like after he kills the one dude, and then he sees the cat, and he like stops and turns.
That's
around.
my favorite scene in the movie that he doesn't kill it, because I was like, going, "They're not going to hurt this poor cat, are they?" And it was like, and then he pets the cat, and the meat cutter is still in the guy's chest, just like grinding up a little bit.
Horror fans.
Yeah.
And I almost forgot, Jen's favorite movie's coming out next year too.
No, don't do it, Monty. Don't do it.
Do it, Monty. Do it, Monty.
It's Megan 2.0. Jen's looking forward to seeing another.
I hate that first movie, so I'm right there with you, Jen.
Thank you.
And I watched both cuts of it too. I saw the rated R one and the regular. I was like, they both are terrible. They're both terrible.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm with you, Monty.
I'm with you too. Megan for life.
Hell yeah.
So I'll throw one out. The Wolfman, I think, looks good.
Yeah, that does look good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of Lee Winnell's the Invisible Man one. I didn't.
Neither was I.
Really?
Yeah,
I saw it a few times. I had a really bad theater experience, and it was right before the pandemic started. It was the last movie I saw in the theater, and there was just a bunch of people that they had laser pointers and they kept aiming at the screens, and they were laughing and running around, and so it's just like it's so when it came out on Blu-ray, I watched it again, and I'm like, I don't know what it is about this movie, but I understand what they were trying to do, but for some reason I didn't like the way it was executed. I thought Elizabeth Moss did a great job in it. I guess I just didn't get to know the antagonist enough. And it was just kind of like he was just this abusive man that was really smart and had this technology. It was kind of like I'm like going, okay, well, it shouldn't be called The Invisible Man then. It should be called something else. It should be called like Her Story or something like that. But the Wolfman one I like the way the trailer plays it out. Like they're trapped. They're in this cabin. They get bit. He's like changing. And like how things are starting to, like he's getting more animalistic with the way he hears. And I'm like, okay, because Upgrade is a great movie. And I think Lee Winnell is a terrific filmmaker. So I really want to see that one, and I'm really curious about The Monkey, the one that Osgood is doing from the Stephen King adaptation. So those are the ones I'm really looking forward to.
I will say, and this is the low budget movie, like sadist or masochist in me. But I'm kind of looking forward to Screamboat, just because it probably is going to suck massive ass. But
the Mickey Mouse one.
You never know.
Steamboat one.
Right.
I think that's the third one that's based on Steamboat Wills' character.
More than likely, it's the first one that I have seen or will probably see, and I don't know. I like I say, the rest of them they're all kind of from the same studio, so you kind of have the idea of it's Pinocchio. It's it's a different
the Blood and Honey ones.
It's a different like low budget, probably Asylum level thing, but it's something different. But on the more positive end, where is it? The next Fear Street looks really interesting. Like I love.
I didn't know there was another one coming out.
It's called Prom Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little sad from everything I've heard. We're not following any of the characters from the previous 3 movies.
Good. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, good.
Creative team, so I am still very hopeful and very much looking forward to it because I love that Fear Street trilogy.
Oh, same. That's fantastic.
I hope the Christopher Nelson's doing the makeup because he did a great job with the effects.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And I'd also add the Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
Yes,
just knowing
still Toro.
I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. Just the way that he does creatures so well, and even
Shape
following it.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, it is. Everything that he does is just fantastic. So
and we're getting our 4th film in the Twisted Childhood universe, Bambi: The Reckoning.
Good God.
Yeah.
We're also getting Peter Pan. It looks like.
To Monty.
Well, and then 28 years later, I mean, that's another one.
Yes.
And Pinocchio Unstrung, which you know, as long it could be the worst movie you could possibly imagine, and it would still be better than the live action Pinocchio because he doesn't stare at a pile of horse droppings for a solid 5 minutes.
Didn't see the live action version of Pinocchio.
Oh God!
Don't. It is the scariest thing you're likely to see this decade.
One more, Final Destination Bloodline.
Yeah. You took mine.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll take it back. Just pretend I didn't say it. Well, it's also Tony Todd. You know, we just lost Tony Todd, so he is going to be in it. So yeah.
And I've heard. Do you know, Ben? Because I've heard that we're supposed to get his backstory in this. That's what I've heard, but I don't know.
I did hear something about that, so that would be interesting because I think he was in the fifth one more than any of them. That was and you didn't find out that was a prequel till the very end, and you're like, because I think that one is so brilliant. That's the last one we got.
I love
5 is just. Yeah, I've actually rewatched the Final Destination. It's still my least favorite, but I actually enjoyed it more. The watching it again, I still like 2's my favorite. I think I don't know why 2 still gets me, but I'm terrified of flying, so the first one really scares me. So it's like that one. Ooh. Yeah.
No, I'm really excited and happy to see the franchise finally coming back, and I'm
really 14 years.
God, it's hard to believe, especially since 5 actually
been that long.
2011. It came out the same year as the Thing prequel. I remember they came out like really close in time.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they came out close together.
I'm really excited because that was one we revisited them 2 years ago.
Yeah, we did
the whole series, and I did that. I fell in love watching those movies, and even 4, which is by far the worst of them.
It is the worst one.
Yeah, even then, there's moments here or there that I appreciate. There's a couple okay kills, but the rest of them, the other 4, I all think are super great and kind of underappreciated nowadays.
And
the third one's good too.
Especially granted, we've had 2 different rewrites from what I've heard because originally it was supposed to be about first responders, and now I'm hearing it's supposed to be following a family. But both of them sounds promising, either whichever route we go. Plus, sadly, it being Todd's probably last performance, that's gonna be really fucking hard. But
I'm getting a lump in my throat because God, this year we've lost some wonderful people. But if it
that hit me so fucking hard,
I was falling.
That hit me so fucking hard.
Yeah, David Soul and Tony Todd were the ones that hit me.
Yeah, those are 2 big ones.
Yeah. And David Soul happened the 4th of January, so kicked off the year. I was like,
what is it about that day? God damn it!
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's and I just Tony Todd's story was funny because it was the day after he passed, and I did a video, tribute. I never got to meet him, and I was I'm heartbroken. I never did, but I was wearing my Candyman shirt, and I have a Candyman pin on my jacket, and I took my mom to the grocery store to help her with some things. And as I was leaving, the checker said, "Oh, did you hear about Tony Todd passing away? It really broke my heart." And this guy was probably 21 years old. And it just shocked me that he knew who he was. And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I love your shirt," and all this stuff. It was just, we started talking about it. And I said, "Well, he's going to be in the last Final Destination." He's like, "Oh, you made my day. Thank you so much for telling me that." And I just thought that was so cool. So I'm like, yeah. So it's like, I didn't realize, I guess because we're all kind of in our little horror bubbles, and then when you start seeing the feedback that you're getting when you talk about somebody that you think, oh, he's kind of a cult actor, more people that are my age probably know him than younger people, but so many people reached out and said, I can't believe he's gone. He was the nicest guy. Yeah. Virginia Madsen did a beautiful tribute to him. Just talking about him and because Candyman was the first thing I really discovered him with. And so that's always going to be my favorite, but he was great in everything I saw him. Even if the movie wasn't good, he was always good in it.
He was great.
Even the one with
fucking Death House, with him being like a serial killer. Yeah. That movie sucked, but he's not.
Oh, that movie's not good at all. I don't agree with that one.
But Tony Todd.
Your tribute video was
at least it had Tony Todd.
Did you guys ever see that Adam Green Scary Sleepover with him?
Yes,
I do recommend that. If you want to cry, he will make you cry in that, about talking about his brother. Oh my God. I remember watching it before I was getting ready for work, and I was watching it, and I just started crying. I'm like, Tony Todd, you're not supposed to make me cry. You're supposed to scare me.
If you do want a movie that it was on the festival circuit, it's not a huge movie, but he was in it, and he did very well. It's from last year, but it's made the rounds this year. It's called The Activated Man. Him and Kane Hodder are they're extended cameos, but they're both. Like the movie itself has some ups and downs, but their cameos are quite good. I highly suggest it.
Okay.
I didn't get a wide release, and it might still be on the festival circuit, but it's worth a watch.
I'll watch anything.
Release.
Me too.
Yeah, thank you.
I still love him in The Rock. I just remember watching The Rock, and I'm like, Candyman's in it when I was a kid, because when he came out. I don't like soft ass shit. This is one of my favorite lines he says.
For me, I have a couple of movies that no one's mentioned. Now, Sinners, I'm really looking forward to. Final Destinations is probably the biggest, but there's a movie that's kind of getting some buzz, and it's not a big one. It's not a sequel or anything like that. It's called Presence, and it's a haunted thing. It's more of a thriller, but it's from the ghost perspective, and that's fascinating.
That's interesting.
And that one's I'm really interested in. I'm hoping Scary Movie 6 is going to be good now that it's in the hands of the Wayans brothers.
It's in the Wayans. I heard that. I'm like, that's
the Wayans brothers are back.
And
I feel like they had so many things taken away from them. It's like they would set the standards, and then the studio would kind of like Living Color, the same in Living Color.
Ari Aster has a new one.
Ari Aster has a new movie?
I think it's called Edition. Yeah, okay. Not much is heard about it. I know you're looking forward to Jordan Peele.
Yeah, but no shit. It's off. Yeah, obviously.
And we're getting Hell House, another Hell House movie.
Another Hell House fan.
Really?
I'm kind of on the fence about Hell House. Like the first one was really good. They're okay. I don't know. They haven't really hit me where I live.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But they're not bad. They're just, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not for everyone.
Saw 11, I'm excited about
if we get it.
If we get it, it's tied up in some. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm still hopeful. I'm still fucking hopeful.
The Saw 10 was great.
Saw X was fantastic.
Loved it.
I love socks.
They got to Tobin Bell's in his 80s. They need to. It's like you don't know.
Much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could leave it in the hands of Shawnee Smith. Nothing bad could happen there, right?
I like Shawnee Smith.
No, I didn't think she was bad. It's just it's as that sidekick versus like main,
it's like
nothing against her, but there's just that presence.
That way. I'm just saying it's like it is like how would you do it without him? Because they tried Hoffman, and Hoffman just wasn't as.
Me sitting here being a big Hoffman defender.
No, he's good. I just like.
I get it. Yeah.
It's like Freddy Krueger. It's like Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that we've never gotten that. I was watching something today about that we've no New Nightmare on Elm Street in 15 years almost, and I'm like, and I just did a video for this coming Friday the 13th, 16 years for Friday the 13th, and I'm like going,
crazy, yeah.
And I'm like going, it's
alone. Yeah, that's as close as we. I
think those of you, I haven't heard anything on fucking any continuation. I think they might be calling quits too and working on new projects.
I just mean we at least have.
You have those. The fan films.
Yeah, but those again, it's almost like. Yeah, they were great, but when it keeps going on and on that we're not getting a new one. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so we were getting one every year almost.
Yeah.
It's like we got 8 movies that decade. Yeah. It was great.
Are we going to get a TV show though like that?
I still say Crystal Lake is dead in the water.
Yeah,
Brian
Fuller seemed like it. Yeah, because it looked like it was getting ready to go into production, then something halted it, and then there's been no word about what's going on with our.
They said it's possibly going to start shooting and come out next Halloween, but that's what Cunningham said. But I don't really trust Sean Cunningham.
Yeah, I don't trust Sean Cunningham for sure.
It's like I'm going. It's like because him and Victor Miller seem to just be. They're just trying to get money out of this, and it's just like you can just tell. It's like the rights are just. Like again, watch the video I put out this week because I talk about everything. I just like how everything kind of like how the studios because. It was New Line and Paramount. Then it was the lawsuit and everything. It's just like it just completely derailed any type of new movie. Even the video game got derailed from it.
Yeah, that got fucked over.
Shame. I was really
people and their pettiness.
Yeah, pettiness and greed.
And they're I mean, they should have struck while the iron was hot. I mean, when Halloween 2018 came out, that would have been the perfect time to do one.
I know.
Yep. Yeah. They would have made so much money, and they missed that because no one liked Halloween. I appreciated Halloween Ends, but a majority of people hate that.
The vast majority did not.
Yeah. So I'm just, and I acknowledge that. There's things. I think it was a jarring third installment of a trilogy. I think it should have been the 4th movie.
Agreed.
Perfect word.
Yeah, they said. I love Halloween Kills, though. I will go to I'll sing praise for that one.
Nice.
I love Halloween Kills so much.
I do too. I love Halloween Kills.
Kills is fine.
I love guys.
I have no problem with Kills. And no
so many people have a problem with that one.
Yeah, see, I like that one because it's brutal, and it's just like I'm going.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, because it's like that's the brutal I've seen Michael since Rob Zombie's RC2.
Yeah, I think he outdid some of what Rob Zombie did, which I
There's
didn't know.
some dumb shit in there. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no, there is. I mean, but there's atmospherically,
really
it
cool
feels like
stuff.
Halloween. It feels like a Halloween movie, and I just
and
I got a soft spot for Anthony Michael Hall. So it's
me
like
too. Me too. I love Anthony Michael.
I thought he was pretty good in it. I think there's some more works in that film than doesn't work for me. I think the biggest the Evil Dies Tonight got a little nuts. I thought the fact that Halloween 2 wasn't a part of the chronology, I think it would have made more sense for the whole town to uprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he literally killed 4 people. I mean, that's pretty much, if you just take the first movie, he killed 4 people. So why is she preparing for somebody that's been locked up for 40 years? And again, that's where I go. That's when you start going, there's some Swiss cheese here. There's some holes in this. It just doesn't make sense. But I just like Halloween Kills for its brutality. And just, I thought,
The funny thing is, the one that doesn't get any crap is 2018, and I have a lot of problems with that one.
I have more problems with it now as it's gone, as we have the full trilogy and can look at it. I just find a lot of it is kind of dull, and there's a lot of things they redid, like the bathroom scene. You kind of took the scene from age 20 and you just changed it up a little bit, because that's pretty much the same kind of thing. He goes into the bathroom. I know in that one it's just he takes the keys for the car, but there's just some things that are just too convenient. And the fact that he had no interest in even going after his sister, she's not his sister, so it's like there was like there's no H20 is scary if you boil it down. That was his blood, and he was going to keep going after her, and that's what made it. And the way she fought him back made more sense to me.
Yeah, it's like they had to inject the plot device of the Dr. Loomis type dude.
The Sartain?
Well, hi, Dr. Loomis.
That was when we were talking about I know we're kind of going off on a tangent here, but with like Grand Moff Tarkin and how they did Ian Holm in the Alien movie, they did Dr. Loomis in Halloween Kills the best, because they had several elements: makeup, the actor, and someone's doing the voice.
Yeah.
And when he came onto the scene, I started crying because I love Donald Pleasance so much. And to see that meant more to me than a CGI.
I know. That's why I was so happy that they didn't do a CGI, because I said, oh man, I hope they don't do a CGI. You're going to piss off a lot of Halloween fans if you do a CGI of Donald Pleasance, but they didn't. So
they did it, and it was beautiful. And Christopher Nelson's amazing makeup just sold.
They did a fantastic job of making sure that they represented that character very well.
Because that franchise for me died when Donald Pleasance died in some ways. It's like in some ways it's like after Curse. It's like I like them a lot, but I don't love them as much as the ones that came before. Even though there's problems with Revenge and Curse, I miss Donald Pleasance.
Yeah. I do too, and I love Revenge. Like, it's fun because he's almost as evil to.
He's more evil than.
Oh yeah.
Than Michael.
You want her? Here she is.
Yes, I love that.
Coming like a little girl.
Really not a fan of the Thorn trilogy.
I love that in 5 though. He's just at his wits' end. He doesn't care anymore, and he'll do anything.
I was really not a fan of the Thorn trilogy. It sort of took some of the mystic out of Michael Myers.
I think a perfect watch is 1, 2, and 4. That you watch those 3 together, and then I love Season of the Witch, and that's its own thing. So,
I like Curse too. Hey, Moon.
Hi, Moon. Hello. I like the producer's cut of Curse.
One other one I had for fucking looking forward to. Granted, it could, no word of if it will end up coming out this year, but Jane Scarburn, who did I Saw the TV Glow, which is my favorite movie of the year.
Spoiler!
Her next project with her next project with A24 is we have a title. It's called Underage Sex, Drugs at Camp something. Millicent or something. So I don't know what the fuck any of that entails, but I love Jane Scarborough and I've loved both of her movies. Both of her movies have been my favorite films of their respective years. So yeah, good times. Good times for Jane Scarborough.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen. I saw the TV Glow.
I heard
but I've heard some good, some bad. I've heard different, perspectives.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen it yet.
That's a movie that hits right there. That's a movie that hits right there. But yeah, that's easily my favorite film of the year. Yeah,
you can't.
Very cool. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, not a fun watch, not a fun uplifting watch, but God. Yeah,
that and the coffee table. I got them all written down. Yeah. Just like which ones I need to watch.
Yeah, but no.
I'll say one I'm really looking forward to, especially hearing all the good vibes and the good reviews, is one that's coming out this month, of course. Nosferatu.
Yes. So hyped.
Like, man, this really looks great.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been trying to ignore all of the.
I'm not even watching reviews.
I've not watched the trailer.
I have not watched any reviews. I'm trying to ignore all the thumbnails.
Yeah, I'm just like going. I'm gonna just see it when it comes out. That's my Christmas gift.
On Christmas Day.
I will say, and it's one person's opinion. I have a friend that had early access, and he said that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Although Nosferatu has a large dong, so
hell yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna see it on Christmas Day, but
I might actually, because it's usually Christmas Day is pretty chillax in my family, so it's like I might go check it out. I haven't been to a movie on Christmas Day in forever, so it'd be kind of fun.
That's my
Christmas
yeah.
present to myself. Goddamn, I can't wait. I'm such a slut for Robert Eggers.
I love The Witch and The Lighthouse. The Northman I need to watch again. I did like it.
The Witch and The Lighthouse is one of my favorite movies of the last.
I still remember watching The Witch, and I was like, I went by myself on a Friday, and I was watching it, and there was these kids in the theater, and they just kept like talking it over. I'm like going, this isn't Blair Witch. This is a period film, very old English,
Old English.
And it's just like, and I just thought it was fascinating and just beautifully executed and really just haunting ending. And yeah, it's a great film.
I know, because I know I heard some people were complaining about it. It's like, I couldn't understand what was going on. I said, that's because you don't understand your history, you nitwits.
Yeah,
Thomas.
Well, if you can't understand it, go check out how this ends and then come back and watch it again.
Very true. That's what happened.
Although, funny story about the Northman. I have a friend who did a kind of a parody of it based off of the there's a Techno Norseman.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a guy in a parade that was like stealing water and doing all this stuff, and he kind of did his own variation of that, and it was hilarious.
Very cool.
Bring Nitwit back.
Bunch of nitwits, dopes, and morons don't know how to behave in the movie.
That's right.
They don't. Terrifier 3 was one of my most recent bad experiences.
Oh no!
Really?
They were in the. These two guys were in the very back of the theater, right where the projector is, and they kept going like this. And then they had flashlights, and they kept shining them at the screen, and then they ran down the steps at one point and were shining their flashlight in some people's faces, and I'm like going, what? It was a Wednesday night. I'm like, what in the hell? It's like I just couldn't.
How full was the theater?
Not very full. My wife didn't want to see it. She's not into those. And I said, well, I want to see one of them in the theater. So I really wanted to see the third one. So it's like, and I went and I was like, oh, no, this is cool. And thought it'd just be chill. There was a few people in it. Most people weren't even reacting to it. And I'm like going, this is pretty brutal. I'm surprised no one's making any sounds. But then there was the guys in the back that like, going, what the fuck is going on? That's all I could hear. And it's like, so I loved the movie. I just said, I'm just going to tune them out and watch the movie. But when they ran down the stairs, I wanted to trip them. I was like going, I was like, oops.
Yeah.
But I actually really, it was a fun movie to watch. It's just bad people in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. The only
it keeps happening. It keeps happening. When I went and saw Alien, there was weird people sitting next to me. When I saw Quiet Place, Day one, there was weird people sitting next to me. When I saw Maxine, there was weird people sitting next to me. Like
God, you just have
couples fighting. But when I took my mom to see Wicked, it was one of the best movie going experiences ever because people shut the F up and watched the movie. And I was like, and I went to an older movie house. So I'm like, when you go to like the Regals and the Cinemarks and the AMCs, that's where you run into those idiots. If you go to this one, which is a small theater, it's been around for years, and we had a great, like, there was kids there and they were all quiet for 2.5 hours. I'm like, going, this is amazing. Like they clapped and, got into it, but that was the best movie going experience I had.
Yeah, I've been lucky because I go to the matinee movies all the time, and so that's
the best time.
I mean, other than crying babies.
Yeah,
you really have not a problem.
That won't bother. It's people that just won't shut up.
Yeah, I know.
The people that are next to me, like when I saw one of the Fast and Furiouses, I remember this woman just had her phone out like this, and that's all I could see out of my periphery was that screen. And I'm like, going, can't you just put it away for 2 hours? Why do you come to a movie to look at your phone?
I'm going to a concert too. It's like, okay, what the hell? Just watch the damn concert.
I put my phone away. It's like
put your goddamn phone away. If you don't want to watch the movie, go back home and just do that.
Do this for free.
Yeah. Like, God, I had the only really terrible one I've ever had, but it was fucking bad. I had a woman, it was at Nightmare Alley. It was a fucking
the Del Toro movie?
Yeah, the Del Toro one. It was opening weekend, I think. Yeah, it was opening weekend. She took a 15-minute long phone call behind me.
What?
Oh, I would have lost my mind. I will tell you. I'll tell you a theater experience. Ghostbusters, people were cool in Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters was cool. Like with the exception of the two people sitting next to me, Alien was pretty cool. But the worst experience I had was when these guys crawled up. They crawled up under the screen, got behind it. This was in 2001, and they cut a hole in the screen as we were watching it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so we were watching, and I still remember the movie. It was Riding in Cars with Boys with Drew Barrymore. My wife and I had just started dating, and we were watching. It was a Monday night, and I saw these two guys. They were two skater guys, and they crawled up under I saw one light a cigarette because I saw the flick of the cigarette light. And then I just see this little slit coming down the screen, and they started sticking their arm through the theater screen, through the screen. So I got up and I went out and got the manager. I said, "This is horseshit." And nobody else was saying anything. And I said, "They're cutting holes in your movie screen right now." And he followed me in there and caught them, and they gave us all free vouchers. I still remember that one. Wow. That was the worst one.
No, the only worst movie experience I had was when I went to go see The Wiz, and this is the reason why I don't like musicals.
The Wiz, wow, way back.
This girl had the nerve to sing every goddamn song right behind me, and I couldn't even enjoy the movie. It's like, and I'm not a real big musical fan, but
I'm not usually either. I like the Wicked though; that was good.
But I just wanted to see the Wiz because it was a black version of the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Michael Jackson,
Diana
Ross,
Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Nipsey Russell. And it's good like people. I know it's like I couldn't even enjoy the movie. It's like, oh God, why are you singing? I can't. It's like, and then she can't sing.
I was going to ask, was she able to tone death or something?
That made it better.
Oh man.
You and I never, even when we have the theater pretty much for ourselves, we will talk if there's like just you and me, but we never.
No, the only time we've ever done that was when we went to go see Ma in an empty theater and we just Mystery Science MST3K to end the fuck. That's the only time we've ever
just rip on it in theaters.
Oh yeah. That's a different kind of a thing too. If it's just the two of you.
Yeah, that was a completely empty theater, no one else.
Yeah. But even when
I saw Exorcist Believer, that was an empty theater. When I went inside,
it was almost empty.
Ours was pretty empty.
Something funny. The best experience I ever have was one of the crappiest movies. Like everyone was so into it, and everyone thought it was so scary, and they're screaming, and everybody's like, "Yeah," I was into it. And then once I watched the movie on DVD, I realized this movie sucks.
What was it?
I thought Halloween Resurrection.
Where this is going.
I do have a soft spot for that one, but it is the weakest
because
Halloween.
the experience was so good. I actually thought it was good, and then when I got home and I could analyze it and watch it and break it down, and okay, this movie sucks.
Yeah,
it was a bad idea. I think they should have just left it with H20. That's H20 is such a good ending. It's like
I know.
I mean, talk about ruining such a good ending. Yes.
Well, it's Mustafa Akkad. He didn't want to kill the character. That was the whole point.
Yeah, I know.
But I still remember
clause in the contract or something. Michael Myers.
Yeah, I know. He just said you can, and that's what they said. They shot that alternate scene. I think when they filmed H20 when he walks out of the gate as the paramedic. That was the whole thing. But when I saw H20, I remember the theater went insane at the end when she cut his head off.
Yeah.
And so did I. Like everyone's like, it was like a rock concert. It was awesome.
I know, yeah. Because that's what I was saying. I said, whoa. I did not expect that. And I said, oh, man, talk about a decent ending. And then Resurrection comes out.
Like, oh no, he crushed this guy's larynx.
The only thing that can kill Michael Myers is Busta Rhymes.
Treat, motherfucker. I'm Michael Myers.
Oh no.
I think my own personal worst was there was a theater that was like in terrible shape, like leaking roof, whole 9 yards. I was bound and determined that I was going to go see Night at the Museum too. There was nothing that was going to stop me.
Nothing was going to stop me.
I have no idea what possessed me to do this, but I'm sitting there. There's no heat. I'm sitting there walking back and forth trying to stay warm. I was not going to be put in by this theater. Finally, they came out and they're like, "Here's 2 vouchers. Come back into the time. There's no heat."
We'll have the roof fixed. The heater turned on.
Theater got dozed like 3 weeks later, but you know.
Yeah, there's some when they start to go and they start neglecting them. That happened to me when I saw Django Unchained. It was like in like this theater that just like they hadn't vacuumed in like a week. It was just like it was bad. I just remember it being like the ground made like the carpet made sounds when you walked on it. It was like I'm going, but it was a great movie. But yeah, but that used to be the theater we would go too. Okay, same theater.
Yeah,
like risking your life going to the theater. All right, guys. I think we should probably go on 3 hours now.
We could talk.
Maybe we might want to wrap it up for the evening.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course.
Yes, nice having you back again, Ben.
Yeah, well, I know you guys. I think some of you are like 3 hours ahead of me, so it's like it's only 7 where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
that's not too bad.
The West Coast.
Yeah.
Okay,
San Francisco area.
Sean and I are in the East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it was just the end of my work day when I jumped on this thing. So.
Awesome show once again, guys. Yes, so thanks for coming back and visiting us, Boogeymen Ben.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. It's wonderful seeing everybody again.
Class act as always.
I tried.
With that being said, as we usually like to do in the horror hangouts, it's a chance for you guys to plug something that you guys might have coming up in the future. What do you got going on, Ben? You got anything you want to talk about that you want to plug that you have coming up on your channel?
Yeah, I do have. So one thing I do have, I've finished my book. I wrote a book about being a horror fan, and it all revolves around Salem's Lot. So I just finished that. So I have actually art that I'm getting done, and I'm gonna have someone edit it and things like that. So that's something big I'm doing in the new year. Coming up this week, I have Friday the 13th video that I kind of mentioned during this, just talking about the status of the series right now, the franchise, and why things have sort of stalled for it. I'm also doing a 50th anniversary tribute to Black Christmas, the film. So that's going to be coming up in the 21st of December, and then I'm also doing a tribute to Mike Flanagan. I'm going to rank his works because I'm really just big into him right now. So.
Good.
Very nice. How about you, the horror miser Monty G?
Yeah, well, my review for Elevation is up on the channel right now. Of course, my trailer reaction for The Gorge, and 28 years later will be up are up right now. And of course, after I see Nosferatu, because this is kind of be late for me. I will have my top 10 best and top 5 worst horror films on the channel. Hopefully by the end of this year.
Nice.
Excellent.
Great.
How about you, Trivial Theater?
I have been off the map because life has been insane. I am coming back with a few short form riffs and or Christmas special featuring one of the worst CGI animated shorts you can possibly imagine. It's going to be a real humdinger. So definitely keep an eye out on channel.
Reindeer.
No. It's called it's called Rhapsody, I believe, in Santa, and like the voice cast
is Rhapsody Street Kids.
Yes. Oh my god. I still have not recovered from this, and I watched it like a week and a half ago. Anyway, luckily I've got good riffers helping me through it, but definitely something to check out on the channel because it's a freaking humdinger. And do not use the humdinger word lightly.
It's a war crime.
We're bringing back humdinger now.
I'm pulling back. We're bringing back Nitwit, and I'm bringing back humdinger.
Oh, yeah.
I do that to Marty every Thursday.
You hum his dinger, or you do his hummer?
No, and like sometimes I gotta relax my throat.
Depends on the mood.
Exactly. Now, does Marty ever hum your dinger?
Sometimes, he's a gentleman. He thinks of my pleasure too.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you holding back when I said plug.
I didn't really hold back Spark and just kind of,
We need to get her a muzzle.
I mean, Christmas is coming.
There you go. Good idea. Stocking stuffer.
Kinky.
Yeah.
We are doing things.
Okay, fine.
Now we are
right
now on the channel. If you guys are interested in it, it went under my radar and it might have gone under yours. There is an Australian indie darling that I checked out called Bird Eater. It's up on the channel now. I had problems with it, but it's fascinating. It's about men, toxic men, and relationships. And there's problems with it, but there's a dinner scene in this movie that's worth the price of admission. And some of you, I know you really liked Mads Triv, and this has a very trippy scene toward the third act you might really dig. I think it's something people should be on people's radars. It won't be for everyone, but very interesting.
You also talked about Salem's Lot too in that video.
I also talked about Salem's Lot too, but not as in depth. I'll leave that to the expert, which is Ben. Besides that, we of course, just like Monty, before our last 2 videos of the year are always the worst. We get the worst out of the way, and then we like to end the year on positivity, so we will be highlighting our favorite movies, but that's at the end. Sunday, I will be on the Trash Picture Show. Marty and I are going to be watching Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And,
Wow.
and I've got a review coming in the next 2 days. I finally watched the Speak No Evil remake, and boy,
I
do
just watched it
have some
yesterday.
thoughts, and boy, is Jen upset. I knew when I heard they were going to make this remake. It was a bad idea.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one.
Yeah, Jen is going. This might even be more angry than Trap.
Oh boy!
Wow.
I've seen things which we'll talk about at the end of the year. But good stuff. Watching Zuma. That movie's fucking crazy.
Oh my god! Did you like it?
Oh, I fucking loved Exuma.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
That was fantastic. I did not think that a movie about moving a coffin would lead to the horrors of imperialist Japan, but I'm very here for it.
I still want to go back and watch it again and learn a little bit more about the culture to see if there's anything that relates to that. Because there seems like there's a lot that could.
Stuff. There's a lot of really interesting stuff that I picked up on with it because I'm a big Japanese history and folklore as well as a little bit of Korean folklore stuff. Yeah. And there's a lot of really damn cool stuff about that movie. I fucking love that movie.
Are you reviewing it or have you reviewed it?
Not yet, but I'm definitely going to talk about it when we get to our best of the year list. It's
awesome.
It's very, 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 very good. Going very, very high.
What's it called again?
Exuma.
It's a South Korean movie.
Where can they find it?
Shudder.
Shudder, of course.
Shudder. Okay.
Damn, you guys got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I have questions and I don't know how to like they're not bad questions. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Down trip down.
No, I loved it. It was fantastic. It's like I know there's significance here, but I have no idea what the hell to ask or how to ask it.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. Can't wait to see those. So I've got the coming up down next Tuesday. I have the Morbid Hour live stream coming out. We're gonna be talking about our top 5 horror comedies of all time, and
Nice.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
top 10, the top 5 death metal bands of all time. We always have the metal part of the stream.
Lighthearted joy and death.
Yes. Comedy and death.
You know what? You could like you could count Coffee Table as a dark comedy, so that could be on their top. That could be on their list.
Fun for the whole family.
Especially
Literally, it'll take your head off. It's so good.
Wow.
And she was here early in the chat. My lovely wife, Kristen Marie. We did a video together, the top 10 television shows of all time. So that was something different.
Cool.
Yes.
I saw that.
Check that out, guys. And everybody check out the great channels of our Steam panel here and our guest Boogeymen Ben. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight in the Horror Hangout live stream.
And I just want to say real quick, because it's the holidays, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to say this before we go off the air. This has been a hell of a year, and I know some other guys have had really rough years too. And I just want to say that I love everyone, including you, Ben. I love everyone on this panel, and that you guys really make it worth it. Like, I feel very lucky to have all you guys, and I love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too.
You guys too, Jen.
We love you, Jen.
You're such a sweetheart.
Yes.
Even if we can't come to agreement on The Crow, I still love your ass so hard. It's not even funny.
I still love you.
I love you too.
No, I really, and I think you all are brilliant, and I really do. I love you guys, and the world has been crazy, so I just feel like you should tell people, and so that's what I'm doing. I love all you guys, and I feel like you all are family. So I love you guys.
Absolutely.
The same.
Love
Thank
you
you very
guys.
much.
We are honored by having you as people too.
As people.
People.
We are.
Sorry, as
I'm
one of
glad
our
you're
people.
a person.
Yeah.
Be one of our people. Like that.
Give it a few months. I might not classify. Well, yeah, whatever. We'll worry about that. We'll worry about that when we get. We'll worry about that when we get there.
All right, peace out, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe out there.
Merry holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Don't kill your families.
You must have
Happy Christmas.
It's just cookies.
Oh, boy.
Flesh cookies for everyone.
Yay!
Yay! With extra frosting.
Some of you might not be able to do this stuff.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, that was
man.
quick.
Oh, that was fast.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Is it me? What did I say?
We did go over 3 hours. So.
Yeah.
When in doubt, right? When in doubt.
When in doubt.
Exactly.
Oh man. How are you guys doing?
We're good. How you doing?
We're okay.
I can't complain. So
Yeah.
sorry, this is me without I can't get the dots off, but hang on, let me see if I can get the dots off here.
That's okay.
Come on.
Good.
Oh, where did I go?
Oh,
Hang
you're a
on.
beautiful scenic background.
I know.
I love
right?
the scenic background.
Yeah, you can't be. Let's see if I can get this to work. Fuck it.